Yes, Patricia.
Let's humble ourselves and we pray. Almighty God, thank you for today. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you for the weekend that has passed. Thank you for this new week. Dear Lord, as we are going for this lesson, pray that, oh Lord, may you come and touch our minds. May we understand. May we get each and everything. And may we live also it when we are relieved and when our minds are okay. Pray for the teacher that she may teach us well or he. In Jesus' mighty name, I've prayed and believed. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Patricia, for the word of prayer. I want to welcome you all for this session. Thank you so much for joining. And I'm very sure by the end of this session, there is a lot that you have learned. In today's session, our topic is on the student's mind, and we want to uncover the power of mental wellness and resilience. So in this session, there is a lot that we are going to be sharing with you, and we hope that by the end of this session, you are going to learn a lot. Our focus is still on the mental health, and we want you to be our ambassadors, where you're going to be in the schools that now many of you are reporting back to schools. We want you to be the ambassadors to the rest of the school community. We want you to spread the message to the rest of your friends that have not been able to join this session. So in our academic journey or in our journey in the education system, we go through a lot of things. There are a lot of questions you're asking yourself. There's a lot that is going through your mind, and you have not yet found some answers to the many questions that you're asking yourself. And therefore, we thought that if we call on this session, probably there is one life, there are very many people's lives that we shall be in position to change, and probably that will also go out and help the rest of the friends that are in schools or that are in our school communities. And therefore, in the world that is really moving at a very fast rate, pressure keeps on mounting, and our mental health contributes or is key, is very essential. So that's why now we thought that having this session for the students, it will help you a lot to take care of yourself, that besides the academic achievements, besides the academic goals, life must move on. But how do you take care of yourself? The choices you make in life, all them contribute a lot to your mental well-being. Therefore, this session is to help you to get relieved, to know how you can handle the different situations that you meet on your way, and how you can have a successful life, but when it is balanced. We want you to have something better than ever before as you head back to your schools. In the recent years, we have witnessed that Uganda is losing very many children. We have children who have lost their lives due to the different reasons, and mainly between 11 and 20 years. This is a young age, but many children are losing out on their life because of some reasons of which we think they can be solved if you are aware of what you're going through. Many children are also failing to complete their education. We have seen many children who are dropping out of school, but of which the reasons that they are giving can be solved. But because we are not aware of some of those things, we find it difficult for you as a person to solve it, and also the people who are within your reach to come to know about it. So it is at 70% that students at, in school are stressed. So in the 10 children or the 10 friends of yours you have, 7 of them are undergoing through a lot of things. A lot of things that are lingering into their minds, of which it is really hard for you to know. So the 10 friends you have in school are undergoing a lot of stress. So we want to help out. We want to reach out to all those children to see that they are really helped. And you, as one of the people who have joined this session, we do believe that you can also contribute something to the well-being of your friends at school. And our philosophy is that when someone knows something, it is really very easy for that person to do even much better. If you find out that you are suffering from something because you know about it, then it is very easy for you to find a solution. It is very easy for you to get some of the coping mechanisms that we can have at hand. And therefore, we want that you can be able to balance your life very well. You look at the resources you have and the demands such that you can have a balanced life. So we want every child, every person going through school to have that kind of balanced life, but not to have one side exceeding or going greater than the other. So this session is going to be an eye-opener to all of us. It's going to be a session that is going to turn your life around. I know there is a lot that you are going to learn, and it's going to be an eye-opener. There is a lot that you are going to learn through this session. So please stay here. You are going to learn a lot. Those who have questions, all your questions will be answered either through the chat or through other means. And we want you to be good students. In case you have any question, you place it in the chat. And those who have not yet filled in the form, you can as well fill your questions into the form and then they'll be answered. So we want you to be in position to uplift your friends from where they are onto another level of life. And therefore, in this session, allow me to welcome our lead facilitator, and this is none other than Mrs. Juliet Kavuma. She's the one who is going to be taking us through this session. She is an education officer. She has been a teacher for so many years, and she holds a master's in counseling psychology. So she has dealt with students. She has presented in various seminars across the country and beyond, and she has dealt with students of your age. So she knows everything about you. She knows what you are going through, and she can easily relate, and she can be of great importance to you. So anything she's going to share here, please take it seriously. Do not take it for granted. In case you have questions, keep them. And at the end of the session, we shall be able to attend to all the questions that you'll be having. Allow me now to welcome Mrs. Juliet to take us through the presentation. Mrs. Juliet, you are most welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Kaziba. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And thank you, students. You're all welcome to this session. We are happy to have you this afternoon. And I know it's going to be a fruitful session if we all pay attention and listen, because we are going to talk about issues of the mind. And when you do talk about issues of the mind, you really need to be keen. You need to pay attention. So you're all welcome. Thank you, Patricia, for the prayer. And we dedicate this afternoon to the very best, And please feel free to ask questions, to write your questions in the chat like Mr. Kaziba said. So I want to rush through. I'm going to try to rush through the presentation, because I noticed that there were a number of questions that came through the Google Forms that you filled in. So there is a lot also that I've prepared in terms of answering those questions. The things we are going to talk about here are not from the mass. That's what I would say. These are things that live with us. Sometimes we notice, but because we are not educated about them, we don't pay attention. Or sometimes we just keep on wondering, why is that person behaving the way they are behaving? Or sometimes you're going through something and you don't know how best to handle. All the techniques, the coping mechanisms that we are going to talk about are things that are within your reach as a student. Things that can help you whether you are at home or even when you go at school and you do not have access to certain things, but there are other things that you can do in order to improvise and to get better. So like Mr. Kaziba introduced me, I was a teacher for so long. I used to teach English language and literature, but along the way, I became a counseling psychologist, and therefore I work in a school as a school counselor. And because of that, I have come across many issues that children your age, especially teenagers, go through. And so I'm going to speak from an informed point of view. I'm going to speak from an informed point of view. Okay, so I'm ready for the presentation, Mr. Kaziba. Okay, so I think the title for our presentation today is Student's Mind Matters, Unveiling the Power of Mental Wellness and Resilience. So we shall find out what all those terms mean. But student mind matters, I think you've heard of this phrase of Black Lives Matter. I think that's where we are coming from. As students, we also matter in a way. Sometimes we think about teachers in a school setting, then we think about parents, and we forget that children also have their own issues that they go through. So that's why your mind matters. And that's why we are here to look at how best we can help you overcome any issues that you might be going through, especially those that are related to mental health, and also improve our mental wellness, and also take note of what resilience is. Thank you. Okay, so why are we here anyway? For this session, at the end of the session, or by the end of the session, we should have understood what mental wellness or mental health is. And we need to identify simple practical tools and strategies that help build resilience so as to overcome the challenges of life. Truth be told, much as you're young, you're students, you're still in school, or maybe some are not even in school, but you are in that age, teen age, every one of us has a life challenge that we go through at any one time or the other. So life is not smooth sailing, that somebody just goes through life on a straight road. No, challenges are part and parcel of life. However, when those challenges come our way, what are some of the things that we can do? So that's the reason why we are here. We need to look at simple practical tools. We don't have to pay money for some of these tools to help us to overcome challenges, and then also to promote healthy coping mechanisms in order to manage stress and anxiety, and in turn also promote mental health, because as students, stress and anxiety are part and parcel of us. They live with us. In whatever we do, we have academic pressure, we have parental pressure, we have societal pressure, we have to pass, we have to deal with other students, we have to deal with teachers, we have to relate with different people. So there is a lot that comes our way. And because we are still young minds, sometimes we become stressed. We become stressed, we become very anxious. So we need to find out how can we promote mental health through managing stress and anxiety. And also at the end of the session, we should be able to reduce stigma, to encourage participants to discuss their feelings and also experiences without fear of being judged. I think you see in the community, in most cases, when somebody has a mental issue, a mental illness, a mental challenge, there is a lot of stigma around it. Even when somebody is not really crazy or mad, they will say things like, Oyo mulalu, that person is mad, that person is, nuts, that person has gone bananas and all that, okay? But at the end of this session, because now you're part of it and you're going to know that it begins with you, we need to start to learn how to reduce stigma as far as mental health is concerned. Thank you. Okay, so let's look at the definitions before we get into the entire presentation. Now, when somebody talks about mental health, What do they mean? Because we hear so much mental health is like the in thing. And you know, in Uganda, October, the month of October is a mental health month. So you find so many articles, so many speeches, news bulletins, and so many things all talking about mental health. But when they do we know what mental health is? Mental health is as simple as how you think, how you feel, and how you behave. How you think, how you feel, and how you behave. Because what you think and what you feel, in most cases, dictates how you're going to behave. So it is something to do with the emotions. That is how you think. Psychological, yeah, emotions, how you feel, and then psychological issues, how you think, and then behavioral issues, how you behave. Mental health is also how you handle stress, because stress is part and parcel of life, whether you're young, whether you're old. Even babies also get stressed, by the way. They also get stressed. So you as teenagers, the stress even becomes much because now you're moving from one section of development to another section. You're in between being a child to becoming an adult. So there is a lot of stress that is involved there. How you relate with others. Is there anyone here who goes to a school and they are alone in that school? Even those who do online classes, they also find people online who they have to deal with. So none of us is living in isolation. So we need to learn how to relate with others. And how you relate with others dictates your mental health. If you're able to relate well, then you're healthy mentally. If you're unable to relate, then probably something is bothering you mentally, and it needs to be addressed before it escalates into something worse. And then how you make decisions. Decisions are also part of what we do. We as students, we need to make decisions. You make a decision to wake up in the morning and go attend your classes. Those who are in day school, some can make a decision to maybe get on that taxi or make that journey to school, and some don't reach. Instead of entering the school gate, they divert and go somewhere else. Making decisions and rightful decisions is also part of your mental health. So as you can see, mental health is with us. How you think, how you feel, how you behave, how you handle stress, how you relate with other people, and how you make decisions. And then mental wellness. Mental wellness is not so far different from mental health. They are actually the same thing. But mental wellness is the way your mind is, when your mind is functioning well, and it is in the best order to allow you handle stress well, to allow you relate with others well, to allow you make useful decisions, and to be a productive member of society. Because man is a social animal, we live in communities, whether at home, whether at school, or whether at church, or anything that we do, you always find that you have people surrounding you in the environment. So if you're well mentally, then you're able to function well. You'll be able to relate with others. You'll be able to make good decisions. You will become a productive member of society. I want you to look around in your villages and see those people who probably take drugs, and most of the time the wires are off. Is there where they are productive to the community? No. In most cases, they are not productive at all. But there are those who take drugs on and off. That the times when they are not on drugs, they are behaving well. But at the end of the day, such people are very unreliable. So if you're well, then you are a productive member of the community. And how about mental illness? Mental illness is now the extreme. It is the condition that causes serious disorder in a person's behavior or thinking. You can't really blame somebody if they have a mental illness, because their thinking, and their feelings and their way of behaving is impaired. So there is something wrong with the way they think, the way they feel, the way they behave. So you cannot blame them for being in that situation because now they are mentally ill. But the fact that we are online today and the fact that we are in schools, that means that we are functioning well, and therefore we are not mentally ill, we are mentally well. But how best can we put our mental health together so that we don't slide from being mentally well to being mentally unwell, as we shall look at the causes. Okay. Yeah, so the teen brain. There is a question there. Did you know that big and important changes happen in the brain during adolescence? So I want to assume that most of us are adolescents here. You'll find these days people get into adolescence so early. Some people are even 9 or 10, but they are already into the adolescent age because they are experiencing all the changes of adolescence. Things have changed a bit. So whoever is on here, I would assume that we are adolescents or young adults. Okay. Now, there are many changes that happen in the brain during that time. I didn't want to go into the technical bit because that means I would now turn into a doctor and start explaining the different things. But if you can see that brain in the middle there are a number of words, you will be able to read them. You'll be able to read them if you, Mr. Kaziba, when he shares the slides, you'll be able to see the words there. But some of them are about love, relationships, parental relationships, academics. So in other words, the brain there is talking about what is happening or what is going on in a teenager's brain. So adolescence is a very crucial time for brain development. When we are adolescents, our brain is still going on, it is still growing. Because science tells us, or research tells us, that the brain continues growing up to around 28 years of age, I think somewhere there. So our brains are still growing as adolescents. So it is a crucial time for brain development. Therefore, whatever happens during that time should at least be something good to allow you be able to maneuver when you become an adult, okay? And then brain development is related to social experiences during adolescence. So when we are adolescents, our social relationships are developed at a higher level. How we relate with friends, how we relate with teachers, how we relate with people in the community, but above all, how we relate with parents. Our social experiences are imprinted on the brain during that time. And then the teen brain is ready to learn and adapt. So because you're teenagers, your brains are eager to take in information. The brains are ready to learn and also adapt to situations. They are not static, that, for me, this is what it is, and therefore, if anything changes, I cannot manage. No, the brain of a teenager is able to learn and also to adapt. That is why you have so many subjects, but you're able to go through those subjects. And some people even go through the subjects and they get distinctions won all over, and they perform so well, okay? And then teen brains respond differently to stress. Now, this is in relation to adults and children. Children will respond differently. Adults will also respond differently. Teens will also respond differently to stress. Some of them just become broken completely. They cannot handle, as we shall see when we come to the symptoms. Others are able to fight on. Others are able to cope. Others become withdrawn because they are going through a certain period of stress. And then most teens do not get enough sleep. That is for sure. Even scientifically, forget not getting enough sleep because you are on your phone the whole night, or you're watching a movie or listening to music the whole night. No. But scientifically, they tell us that a teen's brain is made in such a way that that chemical that they call melatonin, the one that brings on sleep in a person's body, that chemical comes very late for a teen, late in the night, to allow them to sleep. And then in the morning, so that's why it is hard for them to get up in the morning. Their cycle of sleep is a bit different from the cycle of a baby, from the cycle of a child, and from the cycle of an adult. A teen's cycle is very different. They like to stay awake up to late in the night and then wake up later in the morning. In fact, a teen who wakes up at 5 a.m., they say in most cases that that teen is not getting enough sleep. Unfortunately, that is what is happening in our schools. We have to wake up very early in the morning for those who have to travel every day because you have to beat that jam. For others, you have to get to class early. For others, classes begin at 6. So there is a lot at play. So teens, in most cases, don't get enough sleep, and we shall look at what happens if you don't get enough sleep. And then mental illnesses may begin to appear in adolescence. If somebody is going to be mentally ill, or there are issues in their family of mental illnesses, in most cases, those mental illnesses, the signs and symptoms begin to appear when that person is an adolescent. So that is why we need to really be well mentally. We need to be well so that we don't fall in the category of becoming mentally ill if we can help it. Then the teen brain is resilient. The teen brain can overcome. It is, like I said, it is not static. It is a strong brain, and it can be able to bounce back. Even after a lot of difficulty, the teen brain can bounce back, and the student can be able to succeed in whatever they set their head onto. Okay. Now, we have talked about what mental health is. We know what the teen brain is all about. Now, what are the common mental health conditions that we have seen? Now, like I said, that because I work in a school, I have seen a number of issues that go on with teenagers, a number of issues. Now, WHO has a global perspective. This research was done, and it says that 1 in 7 10 to 19-year-olds experience a mental health condition. That each time you count 7 people around you, one person amongst those 7 might be going through a mental health issue. They are probably stressed, they are anxious, they are depressed, they are suicidal, they are this and that. So every 7 people, there is one person, and those 7 people between the age of 10 and 19. That actually is something very serious, because now, at least if it were 1 in 100 people, but 1 in 7 people, so that means every 70 people, there, how many people there, those who do the math? So in your classroom of around 70 people, there could be around 7-10 people who are experiencing a mental issue, and you could be one of them, by the way. Yet, these issues remain largely unrecognized and untreated. Some people look at stress as it is a normal thing. Yes, it is a normal thing, but if it goes on excessively, all the time you're stressed, you're stressed, you're stressed, that means the time we reach now, you cannot manage anymore. So they remain unrecognized, they remain untreated. So that is why this session has been set for you, so that you get to know what are some of these common mental health issues and how can we overcome anxiety, or what you call panic or excessive worry. Look at yourself. I know you can be anxious. There are times when you can be anxious. Even for me right now, I'm anxious because I'm speaking to you. Even other people somewhere are anxious because they are dealing with something that they don't always deal with. So anxiety can happen in our lives. However, if it is excessive, somebody might ask, what is anxiety? Anxiety is excessive worry. All the time you're worried about the future, you're worried about what is going to happen, you're worried about the papers you're going to do, you're worried about this and that. Everything in your life worries you. That is not a good way to live because you're actually making your mind sick. You're making your soul sick because all the time you're worried. Anything, any simple thing happens, you jump up, you're not settled, you're worried. You panic all the time. Some people even go to the extent of getting panic attacks. Panic attacks, they lose breath, they become sweaty, they become jittery and all that. So many things are going on. And if you live in that kind of condition, you cannot manage everyday life. Depression. People used to think that depression is a disease of white people, or it is a disease of older people. But we have seen that even children these days, young people are getting depressed. Now, forget about, you always meet some people and they tell you, oh, I'm depressed. Depression is not just about being, you saying I'm depressed. No, it is actually a serious disease. It comes in three forms. There is mild depression, then there is low, that kind, a bit high, but not so much. And then there is severe depression, when the person now is severely sick and they cannot manage their life. So what are the characteristics of depression? I just picked out three. For example, sadness. All the time you're sad, extreme sadness. You lack interest in activities, yet some of these activities you used to enjoy them. You loved football, you loved netball, you were a bubbly person, you were so social and all that. And then all of a sudden you can't even get out of your bed. You have extreme tiredness. You're so tired. In the morning, you're tired. In the evening, you're tired. You're not looking forward to anything. You do not love anybody. You do not like to participate in anything. Depression. Isolation, you want to be lonely. So those are some of the symptoms, but there are so many. But it doesn't mean that if you have these three, therefore you're depressed. No, it has to be diagnosed by a trained person. They ask you a number of questions, and at the end of the day, the rate or the percentage determines what you're going through. Then we have ADHD, or what you call attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And this one is when somebody is involved in excessive activity. They lack concentration and they act without regard to consequences. What does this mean? The person never sits down to settle in one place. So in a lesson of 40 minutes, by the 10th minute, this person is already up, walking here and there, not paying attention. They are now involved in something else. They are writing cheats to others. They are disturbing this one. There is what we call cheeky behavior. And as teens, we are so cheeky. We can be cheeky. We can have that kind of cheeky behavior. However, if it goes beyond all the time, that is how your life is like. You never settle, even when you are in church, probably, where you're supposed to be quiet and listen to the sermon and etc. You are just walking down, up and down the pew. You can't sit properly. You can't pay attention. You cannot concentrate at all. And you do things without thinking about the consequences. Then that person could be having ADHD. And then conduct disorder. By the way, conduct disorder now, this one is when somebody is always involved in destructive and challenging behavior. If there is a strike, it is that person leading the strike. In class, it is this person disturbing everyone and being so bold and attacking teachers and friends. Their conduct is not the normal conduct that would be expected. They are probably not even on drugs. They are not taking any drug. They are not, you know, because some drugs, leave alone the illicit drugs, but I'm talking about the normal medical drugs. Some of them can have side effects that can change the way we behave. But they are not on that. However, they are ever destructive. If there is a window to be broken in class, they are the ones breaking the window. They are the ones all over the place. So, and such behavior later can result into criminal activity. If a person goes through life, the teenage, without people realizing that there is a conduct issue there that needs to be addressed, that person will end up a criminal later in their adult life. And then we have eating disorders. These are very common, especially amongst girls. The eating disorders are very common amongst girls. Why? Because usually female students or girls, like, you know, when they are in teenage, they care so much about the way they look like, body weight, their figures. Not everyone can have a figure 8, and not everyone can have that kind of figure. We should appreciate the way we are. And if we really feel dissatisfied, there are certain better coping mechanisms that we can take up to help us maybe lose weight or gain weight or that kind of that issue. Because as some people struggle to gain weight, others are struggling to lose weight. So we can never all be perfect 100%. So bulimia, what is it? It is an eating disorder where somebody eats too much. They eat too much, more than necessary, all the time they are eating. And then after that, sometimes they even, after eating, they force out the food. And then we have anorexia. These people do not want to eat at all. And all the time they are losing weight. All the time they are losing weight. They don't want to eat, not because they don't like the food, but there is no appetite at all. And sometimes when they are forced to eat something, they go and, you know, force themselves to vomit out the food, and they lose weight all the time. So eating disorders are very common amongst teenagers. Then psychosis. Now this is the extreme. By this time, this person would have a mental illness. They are on the verge of a mental illness. Because now they see things, they hear voices, they see things that are not there. You know, they cannot sleep. They always have very extremely scary nightmares. They are delusional. They speak with people who are not present. They are completely off the grid. Now, that is a psychosis. But I want to believe that us who are here now, most of us are okay. We are not in this state, because if somebody is psychotic, they cannot even go about their everyday life. So let alone being in school, they can't. But amongst us, I think we have seen some people who have become psychotic, who have become that kind, but they are very few. But in most cases, those are issues that are in the lineage. They are, we shall talk about it when we go to the causes. And then self-harm. Self-harm has become very, very common. It has become very, very common. You see people burning themselves in places where you can't see, as in the thighs, in the chest, the inner arms, and then they, you know, they use any kind of burner. It can be a cigarette lighter or any lighter or a matchbox, and they make burns on their bodies. That is self-harm. And the most common self-harm is where people cut themselves. They get even a blunt object like a pen or a pen cover, and they start cutting their arms in patterns that are very obvious. When you see such people, you find that they have many, many wounds. Some can be fresh, some can be healing scars, and they are in a certain kind of pattern that even when you ask, they would say, oh, I fell down, or I did this. But when you look at the scars, you can see really this scar is not because somebody fell down. This scar is so much in a pattern that this person is doing this to themselves. And then if self-harm is not addressed and it continues for long, if the issues that are causing self-harm are not addressed, that person will develop suicidal ideation. Now, suicidal ideation is where somebody is thinking of taking their life. You hear this in comments that people around you make. You've seen some of your students or your friends who say things like, what is the point of life? What is the point of living? I wish I would just go to bed and never wake up. I wish life was so different from what it is today. I hate life. I hate living. Suicidal ideation. I was reading that article. There is an article that came out sometime 2 years ago, probably, about that girl in Wanyange Girls who committed suicide. She was in a WhatsApp group, and she put a comment. I think the comment said that you'll be shocked when you read "Rest in peace, so and so." Now, that girl was already going through suicidal ideation. She was already thinking of taking her life. And that comment alone showed that she was tired of life. And so there are others around you that you've heard say such comments. If you hear such comments, because death is not something that we joke about. If you hear such comments, always find a way of helping that person, referring them, sweet talking them or encouraging them to seek a trained personnel within the school premises. It can even be a teacher. The teacher can help. A chaplain within school, imam within school. All those people can help. Senior woman, senior man, all those people can help. What that person needs is somebody to talk to so that they can be heard. And then finally, suicide. We have seen, we have heard, we have read many articles. We have seen the statistics. Mr. Kaziba gave us the statistics there. World Health Organization report has given us the statistics. In fact, they say that the fourth leading cause of death amongst teenagers who are up to 19 years is actually suicide. That is the fourth leading cause of death. So children are committing suicide. If you read reports, people as young as 9 are committing suicide. What is happening to us people? That is why we have these sessions, so that we get to know. We are educated about these issues so that we are able to overcome when such feelings come our way. Suicide has never been, will never be the answer. Never. Instead, it leaves a lot of destruction behind. Okay. Okay, so common mental health conditions, we have looked at those.
Just a minute.
Okay, students, have you maybe at this time as Mr. Kaziba is working out on the PowerPoint, I'll ask, have you had such kind of talk from people around you? Have you ever encountered somebody who is thinking about suicide? Mwebaze. Okay, we have hands there. We have people who are putting up their hands. I see 3 people. Eunice, can you unmute and say something?
Okay. Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine. For me, I was just consulting At our school, we have a boy, but that boy has this sense of I don't care. He even switched. He does not like. He's called Katela Gatoni Charles Collins, but he does not like it when you call him his name. He likes it when you call him. He nicknames himself Demon Spatter, like such an ugly name. But for him, he does not care about how he performs, what people say. Like he always engages himself in things that will put him into danger, and he does not care. He just has this sense of I don't care. What are you talking about? Do you know me? Like he is just off. And sometimes you would like to help him, but he does not let you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eunice. And I'll give another chance to Lizzie, because you were the first to put up your hand. You can unmute.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah,
Good afternoon.
thank you for the opportunity. I've been through that situation whereby they also had to change me at school because I had a lot of suicidal thoughts. There was a time when, because I have ulcers, I took those strong ulcer medication. Like if you guys know the Pilo kit, I took two strips at the same time, and then I had a problem with my abdomen, but it was because I was tired of life. It comes about because when we live with different people, you hear about what people tell you. You're never good enough, certainly to our own parents. And some personal life of me, it's because some of us are really raised up by single parents. And you know, when single parents get angry, can sometimes tell you how they wish they didn't give birth to you. And at times you wish that you're not really important. You're like, if I'm dead, my mom maybe would really not have that problem of paying my fees, having to look out for me. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Lizzie, for sharing. Okay, and I'll also get one boy, maybe. Eric Wills. Eric Wills, please unmute and say something. Okay, Eric Wills, probably. I see girls mainly. We've heard from two girls. There is, okay, Eric, you have the floor.
Yes, pass through a lot. Just okay. Okay. Can I ask a question?
It's okay. You can ask. I'll write it down and answer it at the right time.
Is forgetting what you have been sent part of mental illness?
Okay, I'll answer that.
Like when you are sent
right...
to the
Eric, we have lost you, but I think I got part of your question. I will answer the question at the end of the session. One more boy, maybe. Okay, I see only girls, only girls. We've heard from one boy. Tokyo, I don't know whether you were a girl or a boy. Tokyo. Okay, Tokyo is, can you unmute and say something, Tokyo?
Okay, madam, for me, I'm a girl.
Okay.
And then, like about these suicidal thoughts or something like that, like I also have something to say about it. Okay, it's not like personal, like I've never experienced it because like me, I love my life. So like I had this friend of mine, and I think she thought maybe her parents hated her or something like that, and she used to say some stuff about like like maybe God, I have to die or something. Like she even once asked me that, do you think I'm useless? And I told her that you're not useless. And the thing came from like it's actually of recent because she just failed her exams, and I think it's the first time for her to fail exams. And then like she usually performs well, and then now she has this thing of do you think I'm useless, or maybe I'm mentally sick or something like that. Then I told her that I don't think so, because like you're fine, like according to me you're fine. And then she told me that when she went back home, like they were telling her about like you performed so badly or that, and they were comparing her to her sister who's still in primary, like someone in primary 4. Yet for her, she's already going to senior 3. So I think she feels somehow out of place. And me, I don't have answers for her because like I don't have those thoughts.
Okay, thank you, Tokyo.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you for sharing. Now, I'll stop there. There are so many hands, almost 11 actually, but because of time, we can't give chance to everyone. However, you can type a few things in the chat and we shall pick up on some of those issues. Now, I'll answer some of the questions at the end of the session, but Tokyo, that person is already on the way of suicide. If that person is having suicidal thoughts, they are expressing that one time, one day they'll probably do commit suicide, because people who really commit suicide, sometimes they have expressed it in one way or the other, or they have been thinking about it much as people around them don't know. So it is good that you've been able to encourage that person and you're telling her, no, I don't think you're useless. Please continue doing that. But if you are in a school where there is access to counseling services, please encourage that person. You can even escort her the first time. And because people get scared when it comes to speaking to counselors. I don't know why they get scared, because maybe they think they will tell us things that will, maybe we shall tell the admin and they will chase them from school. No, not exactly. Ours is a helping job. We are there to help, and we are not there to make people lose their positions in or their vacancies in school. In fact, for me, where I work, where I find there is an issue, because the law also tells us if the issue is about suicide, then you need to let the administration know, not exactly telling them that Juliet Kavuma came to me and she told me that she's going to commit suicide. No, God forbid. But you say, I'm dealing with a student who is going through this and this. I don't have to tell you details, but I think I'll be able to help. And when I'm not able, when I feel it is too much, I can't help, then I let the administration know that I'm dealing with such and such a student, but I think I will not be able to help. This person might need external help, okay? Psychiatric kind of help, not just counseling. This person, because some people even need medication, and I'm not a medical doctor to give medication. So in most cases, most of the things that we discuss end there. But because suicide is a criminal case, I want us to be clear, people. Suicide is a criminal case. If you try to commit suicide and you're not successful, it is a criminal case, and they can take you to court for that. So, but in most cases, they help you access treatment. So in such cases, somebody needs to know that such and such a student, not exactly mentioning the name, is going through such an issue, and this person is seeking help. So please take note of that. So Tokyo, thank you for helping this person, but that help should be more. Please encourage this person to see a trained personnel. Tell the class teacher, maybe the class teacher can be able to reach out to the child's parents, and they find ways of discussing, because some of the things that make people commit suicide are comments from parents. The good thing, Mr. Kaziba has set up sessions for parents also. We've had one session for parents, and we shall have more, and it will be a continuous process. We shall have more sessions for parents, because some parents say things like, for example, the one who says, I'm a single mother, now I cannot even pay, you should be grateful, etc. or comparing your children to siblings, some who are even younger. You should be like your brothers, you should be like your sisters. I want only doctors in this house and all that. When we talk to parents, we let them know about these issues, and slowly by slowly, we are sure that they will change. So please refer your friend to a trained personnel. Refer your friend to maybe a senior woman or senior man or warden or matron who can be able to help this person. Okay, so someone asked, is forgetting part of mental illness? No, we shall get to that. I have something to talk about there. And then someone who has had suicidal thoughts, and sometimes this person has even gone ahead and taken a strip of medicine. I don't know if you got better help other than that, because if you've had the suicidal thoughts before and the reason as to why you're getting these thoughts has not been addressed, chances are that the thoughts will come back. So that is why you need to see a trained personnel. And at the end of the session, I'm also going to share free trained personnel, people and places where you can be helped. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, causes. We've looked at the conditions of mental health. So what causes? So these conditions can be physical, can be caused by physical issues, by emotional issues, by social changes. So we are going to look at all those in this. So there are so many causes, but I've picked out those most common amongst students. So academic pressure, fear of exams, and high expectations from both the school and the parents and probably the community. Because our parents and the schools and the teachers are telling us, oh, we need to perform. You're doing my mathematics, you have to get 100%. In my class, it's only distinctions. Or you're doing this, but we are people of different abilities. Okay? So that pressure comes down on us as students in school. All that pressure. You don't want to let down your parent because she's a single mother and she has been struggling to pay fees. You don't want to let down both your parents because they put in a lot and you see how they are struggles, because the struggle is real. If you can see right now, it is time for fees, but you can see how many are struggling to pay fees. So the struggle is very, very real. Some of you are even paying fees for yourselves. I know there are some here who come from areas where they have to work and pay fees for yourself. So all that pressure is on you. And in addition to that, you have to sit exams and you have to pass. So there are so many high expectations on us. And then we have so much of homework here and there. All of us here now might be in the new curriculum, apart from those in S5, in S6, and those who are going to S5. But if you are senior 1 to 4, you are under the new curriculum, or some of you are in international schools, but you still find that the academic pressure is too much on you because you have activities of integration to do, you have projects to complete, you have a lot of things to complete and many subjects to handle. But we shall look at how to cope, how to manage, because you cannot just enter your bed, cover your head and say, maybe tomorrow I'll wake up and I don't have to do homework. It will not go away. The homework will be there the following day, staring down your face. Genetic predisposition. Now, this is where somebody in their lineage that they have mental illnesses, that there is a mental illness in that family. And if you look around your villages, you will see that if in that family there is a mental person, a mentally ill person, that probably there will be other people who will become mentally ill. So we cannot help the genetics because we don't choose our parents. We don't. Okay, so we cannot help it, but some of these can be managed. That's why we have hospitals like Butabika. Okay, much as they are overwhelmed. So they give them medication. Some come from, they have shown signs of mental illness, but with medication, counseling, therapy, and support, they are able to go on with life. And then hormonal changes. I mean, we are teenagers. We are teenagers. We are going through developmental changes. Hormones are haywire. They are all over the place. Hormones that force us to do things, to become moody, to be so high up there and to be so low. Okay? So hormonal changes can also cause mental issues. But because hormonal changes are normal, in most cases, we are able to handle. I won't be ashamed to say that girls, because of their menstrual periods and that time, some of them go through extreme mood swings during that time. Not because they are mad, not because they are what, no, but because it is a natural feeling. It is a natural thing that is coming because of the hormones that are playing up here and there. And then we have some people have gone through abuse in childhood. The abuse can be sexual or it can be neglect. Now, sexual, I hope we all understand when I say sexual abuse, somebody was defiled, somebody was raped, that kind of thing, or sexual acts were performed on that person when they were young, and therefore it is somewhere they have been repeatedly abused. And then neglect. Neglect is when maybe your parents didn't care about you, or maybe the guardians were taking care of you, but they were not doing a good job. They were never there, maybe leave you there in the morning. This happens so much to especially children who go to nursery schools, boarding nursery schools when they are like 2.5 or 3 years. Nobody can give you the love of a parent or a guardian when you are in a boarding school at the age of 2 or 3. So some of the things they go through manifest later in teenage and in adulthood. So that's the neglect that I'm talking about. And then bullying. If we have any bullies online, I pray that by the end of this session, we should have given up all our bullying activities. Because some of us think we are so strong and therefore we prey on the weak. We think we are the cool girls, we are special, we are the cool boys, we are great. We have money, we have this and etc. And therefore we are going to prey on the, let me first tell this young man to move. Dothan, I'm having a session, please rest. Thank you. Okay, and then bullying. It can be cyberbullying. In these days, cyberbullying is very, very common. You students are going through this. People form a WhatsApp group and then, they form another little WhatsApp group, and in that group, they are busy bullying the other person, or they get your profile picture and create all sorts of funny things or memes about it, and then they post it with funny words, or they call you in the night to harass you. A lot is going on. Cyberbullying is happening and it is affecting the students. It is affecting you people who are going through it. And then exposure to trauma. Now, trauma can be, maybe somebody gets into an accident, a road accident, and then, they heal from it, but psychologically something will still be there imprinted on the brain. Maybe they start having nightmares about that time, or when they pass around the place where they got the accident, they get issues, or all the time they are thinking about what happened to them. So when somebody experiences that kind of trauma, they can easily go into a mental health issue or a mental health condition. They can become anxious. Others can become depressed. Others start having suicidal thoughts, especially those who get into accidents and maybe family members are in there and some die and others remain. You might find that somebody starts feeling guilty and asking themselves, why did I stay? Why did my mother die? Why did my father die? Why didn't we all die in that accident? So exposure to trauma. And it's not only exposure to trauma, but even watching traumatic events. Watching traumatic events. can also lead somebody to have issues. So you people who watch so many of those videos of people who have gotten accidents that people send on WhatsApp and etc., it is not very good for you. If it is a repeated thing, it can cause real issues for you. If you watch it every once, maybe today you watch it, but there are people who just enjoy watching traumatic things. When you open when you maybe watch TV, there are these channels, Identity or something, Discovery Identity, which only talk about death and murder and etc., horror movies and etc. If your life is tuned towards that, you're imprinting something that is not so good on your brain. You're causing trauma to your brain. So please try to avoid some of these things. Then grief and loss. Grief and loss is also part of trauma. Now, loss could be loss of good things or things that you loved. Maybe it is a pet. I know some of you have dogs. You have this dog, you've been with it. It is a family dog, and then it dies. It can affect people, by the way. It can affect people because love is real. And then grief. You lose a parent, you lose a guardian. Grief can cause mental issues. I know that 2020 and then 2021, some of us lost parents. People online here, some students here lost parents, they lost guardians, they lost family members, and some have not been able to overcome grief. I remember in 2022 when the schools opened, especially after that traumatic death, there's so many deaths that happened in 2021. Many students were going through a lot of pain because they had lost their parents. But lucky enough, we were able to handle some of those that we could, though others stayed, they didn't come out. Somebody has just written there that even heartbreaks might be love relations, might be relationships of family and etc. Yes, heartbreak is real, and I wonder why you should get yourself into a love relationship at this age. Because I mean, it comes with a lot of responsibility. Can you handle? There is a question about it that I'll answer later. And then pressure to conform with peers, especially social media influencers and peer relations. They can lead to being socially isolated. You feel I cannot measure to. You see that influencer who is almost your age and you love that kind of life. You've heard of the Kardashians. I hate them. I used not to watch it because I felt that the influence was not so good on the young people. But again, we have to be educated to know what is good for us, because some of those things are just acted. Not everything we see online or on TV is the absolute truth. Some of them are edited and acted to make it entertaining for people. So now for you come and you look at this influencer, Baby Gloria, and you want to be like Baby Gloria. You want to be like so many other influencers. And, you know, my dear, you're pushing yourself to things that you might not be able to get. And therefore, they affect your brain and the way you think and the way you act and the way you behave. And you get issues. Socially isolated, some don't have friends. There are people who are in a school of 1,200 students and they do not have friends. They are socially isolated. So they are ever lonely. And if you're ever lonely, therefore you are there, you have no one to talk to, you have no one to relate to, and loneliness can also be a disease. Then the quality of home life. If home life is very unstable, there is a lot of domestic violence, your parents or your guardians are ever fighting each other, quarreling, there is poverty, you don't have basics, because there is poverty where the basics are there, but there is poverty where you have nothing completely, and the only thing that can be afforded is probably school fees, and that's it. So some of these things also affect the young mind as a student, but that doesn't mean that we cannot be able to handle. we can be able to handle some of these things if we put coping mechanisms in place. And then substance and drug abuse, okay? So some of you are usually, because some people who start drugs, or students who start drugs, most people who start drugs actually start drugs in secondary school. They start drugs in secondary school. A friend will introduce you to something to allow you stay awake the whole night so that you can do winter. So that you can read the whole night, doing winter or whatever it is that you call it. Or somebody brings in, they sneak in these vaping pens. You've heard of the vaping pens. And for you, you start vaping. You don't know what is inside there. Most of these drug and substance abuse, most people learn them when they are in secondary school. So by the time they become young adults, they are already, independent to do whatever they want. So some people are introduced unknowingly, because now we know that people bake them in cakes, in cookies, in daddies, in so many things that people bring at school. So take note of that. And then identity, especially body image and self-esteem issues. These can also cause issues. Identity, as in some people feel less of who they are. They feel less of who they are, that, okay, maybe I went to, do you know that there are some people who are bothered because of the schools they went to, that I went to this school, therefore it doesn't matter. And then you find these high class, they come around, oh, which school did you come from? Oh, I went to, and they make you feel like you don't matter. And before you know it, you're thinking and overthinking and becoming anxious and worried. And before you know it, you're becoming depressed. And therefore you start thinking over suicide and all that. So all those things and many, many others, parental issues, many others. But I've tried to point out that. But as young girls and boys here, love your body the way it is. Love your body the way it is. Okay. Next. Okay, so mechanisms for mental wellness. Now we know what causes mental issues. We know that different mental issues that are very common amongst young people. Now, what are some of the coping mechanisms that we can put in place? Those that are positive, that can help us, whether we are at home or at school. And most of them are very out there for us. They are common. They are very common. We can be able to access. For example, learn to express your emotions. You don't need a doctor to tell you how you feel. You don't need your parent to tell you how you feel. You can express your emotions. Now you can, how do I express my emotions? You can express your emotions through poetry, through writing, through keeping diaries. That's what we call a journal. You have that small book of yours, like mine here, and you can express how you feel. Every day you write, or maybe after class or in the evening or before you go to bed, you write February 20, this and this, and then you write your entry. I woke up this morning, I was not feeling so well, etc., etc. So you're getting things from your heart, from your mind, from your soul, and you're putting them down in writing. And at the end of the day, you feel a bit relieved, other than keeping them inside and you're not releasing them. So some people write poetry and they pour their hearts, they pour their pain in poetry. Some people do art. They like drawing. Those coloring books that you see are not only meant for children. You can get a coloring book. It can be part of your things that you take to school, part of your shopping list. They are very cheap. I think they are, you can find even one for 1,000. They are 2,000, 3,000. You buy one or two, and then colors or pens or etc. So when you're really feeling down, you can just color. You can just color. So coloring books, drawing and art, also helps us to express how we are feeling inside. Creative arts, it could be music, it could be dance. So you people have music, dance, and drama, and you're not the kind of person you don't want to participate, not knowing that it is benefiting those people who are participating. They feel better when they dance, when they sing, when they participate in such. So now this here is an example of a person who is expressing their emotions, okay, in coloring. I think this is for primary school. This was a young person. In the middle there, I can't imagine life without, and then they talk about, I can't imagine life without rain. I can't imagine life without a hot shower. I can't imagine life without flowers. I can't imagine life without books. I can't imagine life without swimming, without sunset, without cheese. Turquoise, I think, is a color, without peppers, without picnic and all that. So this is what matters to this person's life. So you can express yourself that way through coloring, through doodling. Those who do art know doodling and all that. And it will help you release some of the tension in your mind. Take part in games and sports. They help to release the steam and tension that we have from academic pressure. If your day has been really, really, really heavy, at the end of the day, please, if there is a game or a sport that you can play, even if it's for 10 minutes, take part in it. Even if it is twice a week, take part in it. Even if it is only over the weekend, because I know schools can force us to have lessons Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night with just a few breaks of showering, eating, and having break time. Schools can do that. But over the weekend, when there is some bit of time, when you get the time, please, play that game, play that sport. It will relieve you. It will take away the pressure. Have a routine of doing things. For example, have a personal timetable. Besides the school and the class timetable, you write your own personal timetable. It will help you to put things in perspective. You know that on Monday, I read this. On Tuesday, I do this. On Friday, I go for a game. On Thursday, I have Bible study. I have Quran study. On Friday, I do this. So have a personal timetable that helps you. Don't be the kind of person who just jumps into things just like that. You wake up on Monday and you don't even know what you're going to do for personal life. Forget the school timetable, because that one is a must, you have to follow it. But the personal timetable, don't be the kind of person who doesn't know what you're going to do on that day. Put it down so that you know. Set realistic and achievable goals. Set realistic and achievable goals. If you set goals that are unrealistic and goals that you cannot achieve, you're going to add on to your stress. You're going to add on to your anxiety. You're going to add on to the depressive mood. But if you set realistic goals, I think one time we shall have a session about goal setting, simply goal setting, and we get to know how to set goals. So if you set realistic goals, you know that I can manage this. You can't be the person who is getting 20% in mathematics, and then you say, all the time you've been getting 20%, 20%. And then you say, by next week in the test that is coming, I'm going to get 100%. That is not a realistic goal. Yes, it can be achievable, but how are you going to achieve it? Are you going to spend all your time doing mathematics? How about the rest of the subjects? So you can be realistic by saying, I've been in the 20s and the 30s so much. What can I do to help me improve in this subject? Maybe I should contact this student. She seems to be doing well. He seems to be doing well. Maybe I should do self-assessment. Maybe I should see such and such a teacher. At least by midterm, I want to go up to 50%, over 40% from 20. And then by end of term, I want to go up to around 60 or 70%. That is already an achievement. It is realistic because you're not jumping from 20 to 100. And you know you can achieve it. And therefore, your mind will be tuned to working to achieve that. Enjoy the green environment within your school premises. It calms the emotions and clears the mind. If you are at home and you have a green environment, enjoy it. Some of you even can create the green environment within your home by planting vegetables. Those alone are greens. I mean, it is a green environment. You don't have to have land, even in tins, even in sacks, even in broken bottles. People have planted things and they have created a green environment around them. And research has proven that a green environment calms the mind. No wonder the color green is a color for calmness. Okay. And then develop your spiritual values. Please be spiritual, have a spiritual value. A prayer, a Bible, if you can read a Quran, if you can read it, please go ahead. The verses, some students write verses every morning on the side of the board. Those verses help to calm the mind. Inspirational quotes. So develop your spiritual values. Don't be the kind of person who walks through life without having a spiritual life. And when I talk about spiritual life, I'm not saying you're going to become saved, you're going to be prayerful all the time, you're going to be this. No. I'm talking about you having at least that side that believes in God, that believes in the Quran, that believes that there is a super human being, a super person, a God who created, who gave us life. And then practice positive self-affirmations. Practice positive self-affirmations. Self-affirmations are things like you talking to yourself and speaking positively about yourself. Saying things like, I can do it. I know I'm strong enough. I can manage. Oh yes, it is a challenge today, but it could have been worse. I know I can overcome. So those positive affirmations somehow start wiring your brain to think better. Instead of thinking things like, I can't manage, I can't do it, I will not do it. Your mind start thinking, oh, I can manage. Next, please. I can manage, I can do it, I can do that, etc. Okay, continued coping mechanisms. Eat healthy, not too much chapatis, not too much cassava musike or fried cassava, not too much what? Eat healthy. Posho and beans is a very good meal. It is a very good meal. So please, don't abuse it. You can spice it, you can do what, and it is a very good meal. For us, we also grew up, we went to boarding school when we were 5 years old, because by then there were not so many day schools around. So most of the time our parents would take us to boarding schools. At 5 years, you would go to boarding school in P1. That's what used to happen to us who are in our 40s. So, but we grew up on posho and beans, and here we are. So posho and beans is not a bad meal. Whatever food is there is not a bad meal. Attend school meals, and that is eating healthy. I'm not talking about meat. I'm not talking about chicken. I'm not talking about pizzas, money, what? I'm talking about the school meals that are provided by the school. That is eating healthy. Have adequate sleep, okay? So when classes end, maybe prep time, instead of, just talking around for the next 2 hours, please set yourself to go to bed. Have adequate sleep. Encourage positive social interactions between you and your friends, your teachers, your community, your family, especially your siblings. You can't be the kind of person who is ever at loggerheads with everyone. You cannot get along with your friends. You cannot get along with your parents. You can't get along with the teachers, your siblings. Work on creating a positive social interaction, because the people around us have a very big impact on our mental health, on the way we think, the way we act, the way we behave. Limit screen time when you are at home and you have that phone around you, you have the TV around you. Try to limit screen time. Don't be the person who watches up to very late in the night or very early in the morning. The first thing you do, even before you brush your teeth, you have picked up the phone. And then practice self-care. Okay, learn to stop, breathe, and think. Learn to stop, to breathe, and think. Sometimes life can be so, school can be so stressful that you have this teacher demanding for their homework, this one demanding for this one, you are a leader, you are a prefect, you are this, you are that. A lot is coming down on you. Sometimes you need to stop, just stop. Take a deep breath, probably like 3 or 4 times. Then your mind will clear and you will think. You'll be able to clear your mind. You'll be able to think. You'll be able to come up with positive decisions that you can work with. Stop, breathe, think. It is very important. Practice self-care. Your physical appearance, be clean, be neat, be smart, be physically presentable. Even if you don't have much, you can still be clean. You can still be neat. You can still be smart, because what we see on the outside brings out what you are on the inside. If your inside is full of chaos, is chaotic, then you will not be able even to take care of yourself. So be clean, be neat, be smart. Exercise your brain. Play chess, play Sudoku, word puzzles. So these things are always there. You have a phone and there is Sudoku there. Play that game once in a while. If you are at school, probably your school provides newspapers, or besides that, some libraries have Sudoku books. They are books that are there, just a full book of Sudoku and all that. Word puzzles in the newspapers, word puzzles in textbooks. Use the dictionary, learn a new word today or tomorrow. You know, play chess if it is available, play Monopoly, play whatever, all those games, Ludo, Scrabble. We look at these things and we think they are just there to waste time. No, they are helping us to cope with the pain that we go through. They can help to relax the brain. And at the end of that day, they help us to get solutions to some of our issues. Learn a new skill instead of being bored. You've been home for 2 months. The new skill does not necessarily mean that you're going to pay for it, because there is a lot of struggle. Our parents cannot afford to get part of our school fees money and then pay for a skill. At this moment, it might be very hard. However, some of you have phones where you always have data, and there are people teaching how to cook this meal, how to crochet, how to do this, but you're just skipping and perusing through and scrolling, and you're looking at people dancing weird kind of dances and all that. Learn a new skill instead of being bored. That skill will help you. You never know when it will come in play. Learn how to make juices, learn how to cook, learn how to crochet, learn how to do this. Some people, yes, they love dancing, because I mean, there are people who dance for money. Learn how to dance if you can. If it's going to be a good skill for you, it is okay. Help others, voluntary work. There is immense pleasure that comes from helping people. When Tokyo said that she helped, or she spoke to that person and told her, no, you're not this, you're not that. In a way, that alone can also fulfill your mind, knowing that you have purpose, okay? That you can help somebody who is in need. Do voluntary work, help others. Sometimes in our villages, we have what they call, what do they call it? Come and, you know, as in to come and clear the roads and pick the rubbish and all that. In my village here, it happens every end of month, one weekend, a Saturday, we go in the morning and we sweep. You just sweep your front yard and etc. in front of your gate or in your compound, and you pick the rubbish. Some of you don't want to take part in that. But if your environment is dirty, that means your mind will also not be well. It will not be thinking well. It will be thinking that only. So be gentle on yourself. Avoid excessive perfectionism. Banange people, avoid excessive perfectionism. Be gentle on yourself. We cannot do it all 100%. We are human beings. Sometimes we fail. And when we fail, don't beat yourself up because you have not gotten 100% and yet you set out getting 100%. If the 100% has not come today, maybe it will come tomorrow or the other day. Just guarantee, okay, today it has refused, but tomorrow it will be there. The other day it will come my way. You can't be the person who is always expecting 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100 everywhere. You are not a superhuman. None of us is what is the Superman? No, none of us is Superman. So excessive perfectionism can cause us problems. So be gentle on yourself. Okay, next. Okay, someone is asking, what if you have OCD? Next slide, Mr. Kaziba.
I have moved.
I think it's, yeah, it's there. So okay. I picked, it's a note that came. What if you have OCD? OCD is obsessive compulsive disorder. The reason why I didn't talk about it is because it's not so common, but it is there. It is not so common, but it is there. Obsessive compulsive disorder is when somebody does repeatedly behavior, as in all the time. Maybe if it is about washing hands, this person can never settle before they wash their hands. And it's not only washing hands, but like every minute they want to wash their hands. So that will also lead to the fact that they can't touch people to greet them. They can't sit near people because they feel people are going to make them dirty. They cannot allow anybody to sit on their bed because you're going to put germs on their bed. So if you are that kind of person, usually when they see a therapist, you cannot overcome that on your own. You need to see a counselor who is trained in that, and they help you with behavior, what you call behavior therapies. They help you with behavior therapies so that you're able to live life. When you have OCD, doesn't mean that life has ended. No, they can teach you behavior therapies that can help you to overcome. So if you have OCD, the person who wrote that question, please make sure that you are able to see a trained counselor, not just anyone. And then the American Psychological Association, which is APA, defines resilience as the process and outcome of successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life situations and experiences. It is the ability to bounce back amidst challenges. Like we said, life is full of challenges. Life is not a smooth road. Life is full of bumps, winds, and turns. There are so many things that we go up, we go down, we go sideways, we go there. Problems come our way. But if we are able to overcome those problems and we don't run mad, we don't become overly anxious, we don't become excessively stressed, we don't become depressed, then we are resilient. If a parent passes on and later you are able to manage, that you have the pain the parent has passed on, but you're able to manage, you can attend class, you can study. Times will come when you break down and cry, but then you come back, you sit in class and you're able to manage. Then you are resilient. Resilience is when you're able to overcome problems and bounce back and be able to manage. How do we build resilience? We build resilience through social connections. Have you ever wondered why when people lose people, especially in our culture, when somebody dies in the home, only that things have changed a bit, but when somebody dies in the home, people come to keep vigil at night. Some stay around even for a week. Others keep on coming maybe for a month. Others keep on checking on you, maybe sending a message or finding out how you're doing. That is what we call social connections. People come around, they don't just leave you alone because they know you have gone through a life's challenge. Now, when you are in a school setting, social connections are very important. Your friends are important. They are not necessarily friends who are friends in need, who are indeed, but they are acquaintances that you're relating with. Amongst those acquaintances, however, there could be that good friend who is really your friend, in that when you're going through issues, you can talk to that person. Teachers and the entire school community, the teaching staff, non-teaching staff, are all part of the social connections in our society as a school community. So if you live as a loner, that means you'll not be able to benefit from the society around you. Nobody will be there for you. But if you build your social connections, you can relate with others well, you can speak with your teachers. You're not the kind of person they are always saying, oh, we are tired of her. Then your social connections are good, and therefore you are a resilient person. Should you go through a problem, you know that there are people around you to help. Professional support, it can be counseling. Counseling can help you build your resilience. A counselor will look at you, you discuss your issues with a counselor, and then she'll come up with ways to help you overcome, relevant ways to help you overcome what you're going through. So that is resilience. And then the other one is, Mr. Kaziba, I've lost the PowerPoint. Okay, as we wait for Mr. Kaziba to come back with the PowerPoint, maybe there are questions. Any questions that we can take on at this moment? Sarah? Sarah, can you unmute and ask your question?
Okay, my question.
Oh, sorry. Unmute, please.
Okay, my question is, like, I'm good at mathematics, and during my primary leaving examination, I got a D2 and everyone expected them to get a D1. So when I went secondary, I started performing well, and last term, but one, maybe second term, I got 80%. And when it was this term, I never wanted to get any lower mark. I still wanted the 80%. So I read a lot of mathematics, but when I got into the paper, my hands started shaking and instead I started becoming sweaty. So all I did was to give up on the paper.
Sarah, I see a classic case of anxiety. You can mute. That is anxiety. Sometimes when we overdo things and we have high expectations, we can get into a panic mode. So I would assume that, Sarah, you got into a panic mode because your mind was set that it has to be 80 and above. And that is what you expected. So your mind was only thinking about the 80 and above, okay? Because your mind, or whatever happens to you physically, is what is you are thinking. So all you had prepared, you were ready to get the 80 and above, but because you were excessively thinking about it, that is why when you got into the paper, you just became panicky and you gave up on the paper. So that is where I said that sometimes we need to lower our expectations and know that, okay, the 80 will come, I'm capable, I'll get it, yes. But just in case it doesn't, I know that next time I'll bounce back and I'll perform better. So I hope I have answered that, Sarah. We have Bakita. Can you unmute and ask your question? Bakita, you're unmuted, but we can't hear you. Bakita, okay.
Can you get me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I really don't know how to say. It's like I associate with others. Even in school, I have many friends. People like me. I'm a school leader and all, but I still feel alone inside. Like I feel most of the time I'm alone. I feel lonely though there are people around me. I talk with people. I'm happy with them. I laugh with them, but I don't actually feel happy. It's just I feel a sort of emptiness inside me. And then sometimes my feet and hands just go cold all of a sudden, just like that. Like you begin sweating, but you're feeling cold. It just happens out of the blue. Like you don't know what's happening to you. So I don't know if you can help me about it.
Okay, Bakita, thank you for that. Thank you for that question. Now, one time we did a session for self-awareness. I think, Bakita, you'll benefit from a session of self-awareness. And that is what you need, because if your social connections are okay and your studies are going on well and nothing is wrong according to you, then there could be something inner than that, because sometimes you go through childhood trauma. Maybe you faced childhood trauma. I'm not saying that's what is happening to you, but I'm saying that maybe there is some bit of childhood trauma that you don't know about that you went through. And that is when you see a trained person, they help you to go through to navigate those things, and then you get to know what the very issue could be. Because right now I cannot tell this is what is going on, this is what is going on. But when I talk to you and we go through different questions, we look at different issues and perspectives, then we can be able to find out what might be going on. Okay, but self-awareness is very important. Self-awareness, you get to know what are your likes, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are your opportunities, what are your threats, all those things. So it is very important. We still have around 4 people. Let me ask Joanne Bernard.
The problem I want to solve out is like you go to school, you perform, like you continue performing, but like of course you're not going to be the best, but when you try and then your parent keeps on putting you down, like your dad is all like, it's not enough, I don't want this. Even when you keep on trying, he wants you to be something you're not, and he keeps on pushing you to a point that he will shout, he will nag you, he will remind you of some other stuff that you don't even want to listen to. He will push you. He will even refuse to give you pocket money for that reason. But you're trying, you're telling him, yes, I'm trying, but something has actually refused here. And at school, they take it, you've performed well, but for him, he just like doesn't care. What he wants is what he wants. So I'm trying to solve out that issue.
Okay, thank you, Joanne. That is a very common issue with many parents and many students. High expectations. I think I mentioned that some of the issues, the causes of our mental problems, mental issues, expectations from our parents, from the school and etc. I think I picked on, you said the school thinks you're doing well. And I want to believe if the school thinks you're doing well, and also you think also you're doing well, then just try to put in more effort and make it better. You cannot change daddy's opinion or mommy's opinion. You cannot change it. Sometimes you are unable to change it. Banga, they are grown-ups and they are parents and they assert their, responsibility and their force and all that because they want better for you. They want the very best. So now for you, you just need to build your resilience. The good thing, you have shown that you're not being lazy, but the school says that you're doing well. So I think in this case now you just need to understand daddy from where he's coming from, and you also, you do your very best to bring in those good grades. In that when daddy complains and etc., you are aware, you have built your resilience. You are aware that I'm doing my best. If I can do better, I'll make it better. But for now, maybe I can't push anymore, but I know that I'm going to perform well because the good thing, the school knows that you're doing well and you can perform better. So that's it. If you continue pulling the rope with daddy, it will make issues worse. You just need to understand that, yes, my daddy is doing this because he wants me to be better. And the good thing is that we are holding sessions for parents also. We are holding sessions for parents also, and we talk about some of these issues. So parents will listen and they'll be able to change their ways of thinking, changing things like not to compare their children, be like this, be like so and so. Then we have Beasley. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name well. Beasley. Please unmute and say something. Beasley. Okay, I think we have lost her. So finally, Emmanuel. So for Grace and Roslyn or Noeline Maria, please write your questions in the chat. Grace Ingabire, unmute.
Okay. Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon.
Me, what I wanted to ask you is about these kind of people. Like someone is a boy and the boy is behaving like a girl, the way the person is talking, or if someone is a girl and the person is behaving like a boy, walking like a boy, everything, or is in boys. Okay, those people, I feel like they are not normal. What's wrong? What's wrong with them?
Okay, I'll briefly answer that. Now, so one thing we should know is that the environment shapes us, the environment we are growing up in. So I don't want us to be the kind of people who immediately label people homosexual, lesbian, just because she's behaving like a boy, he is behaving like a girl. No, please don't do that. Don't do that because it is wrong and you're going to push somebody to the edge when that is not what they are going through. However, the environment that we live in matters a lot. Some people are siblings to only boys. She's a girl and she's the only girl, the rest are boys. She will pick on mannerisms of boys. Some people are the only boy, the rest are girls. That person will pick on mannerisms of boys, of girls. So we have seen those. You see this girl, she's ever putting on shorts, trousers, she behaves like a boy because she's growing up with boys. Or she's the only child and the only behavior she knows is to behave like her father, or she's being raised by her father, she's so close to her father. She's walking like a boy, she's behaving like a boy, she's aggressive like a boy. Please don't label people there is nothing usually wrong with them. And then others, it is genetic hormonal issues. If you've heard of this, there is this woman who, I think she's from South Africa. That woman from South Africa who is like a man, but she's a woman. Those are hormonal issues. Some people have hormonal issues that the hormones tend to be too much and they turn them to behave like the other sex, yet they are not that sex. And other issues, environmental issues and all that. But we shouldn't label people, and there is nothing wrong with those people except if they are on medication, because I know there are also some people who are on medication because of the way they were born, and there's some secretive medical issues. They might not discuss them, but they are on medication to help them overcome those challenges. I think you've heard of hermaphrodites, people who are born with both sexual parts, the male sexual part and the female sexual part. Those people are also there. So the hormones will behave haywire and all that. So they could be on medication. So please don't label. There is usually nothing wrong with them, but the environment they have grown up in. Lastly, Emmanuel, and then we go back to the slides. I think we are almost coming to the end. Emmanuel, you have a question. Your hand has remained up for so long.
Yeah. My issue is about the academic pressure. Where, like now for us in senior FOPA now, we have much work, but little time to enable. And you find the pressure is too much to an extent that you cannot even have much time to play, and the teachers cannot allow you even to have enough sleep. So how can we manage to overcome that? Because I've seen that it's also among the causes of the mental illness and whatever.
Yes. So Emmanuel, I'm going to answer that question because there is also another question related to that that came through the chat. So I'll answer that when I'm answering that question now. How do we build resilience? We build it through social connections. We build it through support like counseling. We build it through being easy on ourselves, staying positive and taking breaks where necessary. Take a break. Don't be the person. The reason why the school system has break time, lunchtime break, and the afternoon break is because they know these are human beings and they need to take a break. And then for you, break time comes and you spend the entire 20 minutes or 40 minutes of break, you're still doing some work. You can walk out, stand up. You've been in class since 8 o'clock. Stand up. Go out a bit for 5 minutes, walk down, up and down. Maybe if there are stairs, take the stairs, walk around, come back, and use the remaining 15 or 10 minutes to complete whatever you have to complete. Eat something, be healthy. Don't starve yourself during break time just because you have a lot of work to complete. You're making issues worse. So be easy on yourself. Like I told somebody who said I wanted 80 and then I froze in the paper. It's because that person was not so easy on herself. You need to be easy on yourself. Let things happen, but work hard for them. When they don't come through, it is okay. They will come through next time. You're not going to die just because the 80 has not come. And then have a routine you can stick to. Have a routine. I talked about having a timetable. Besides the school timetable, you also need a personal timetable, knowing that on Monday we have such and such lessons, we have such and such projects, but in between, I can also push in something that I can do, something that is not stressful. It can even be a walk. If I'm in a boarding school and I sleep, my dormitory is at the far end. Instead of taking the shortest route, I can use the time to take a longer route. And by the end of it, I'm taking a walk, I'm exercising, okay? So I have a routine to stick to. And then self-care, I've already talked about that. Be mentally healthy, be spiritually healthy, be physically smart and neat and presentable. You are building resilience. Like I said, what is on the inside can be portrayed through the outside. Okay? So we can tell when things are not doing well. If you come one morning and your hair is unkempt, and your shoes are not brushed, it has not been your daily routine, but now you just wake up and you come, your hair is unkempt, we can tell what is going on with you. So you need to take care of yourself. It is important. When you look good, you feel good, and you'll be able to manage things. Take control. Think about what you can control and do something about it. If there is change and you cannot control something, let it be. In a school setting, let me use this example. You have this favorite teacher of English or teacher of mathematics or biology. And then you go back at the beginning of term, that teacher has been transferred, or that teacher has moved on to greener pasture. This was your person, you loved this person, maybe he was or she was your class teacher, you could go to her with your problems and all that. Are you going to follow that teacher where he has gone? You have no control over the situation. Accept the change that is coming your way. Are we together? But where you have control over something, then do something about it. If you have control over your self-care, if you have control over having a shower, you have the shower. Over having, developing your spiritual needs, then do that. Where you have control over something, please go ahead and take control. Help someone, peer support for others. There is, like I said, there is a lot of fulfillment that comes from helping others. You might not see it, but somehow, somewhere, it adds to your well-being. So if you can help others who are struggling, it will also help. If you have so much in your suitcase and there is this other person who doesn't have, please, if you can give that person a little bit here and there and you help out that person, then that is okay. The peer support, somebody is suffering a mental health issue, they are suicidal, they are having issues, the help can come in form of you alerting the teacher that so-and-so is not well. She keeps on saying this and that. That is help. When you see that person getting better, you'll also be happy because in a way you helped. Then turn it off. Turn it off is like taking a break from so many things. Turn it off when you are at home. This works very well when you are at home. When there are so many things you have to do, okay? And social media is taking your time. You know, you can watch those TikToks the entire night. It will take your time. It's only data that will stop you. But now I know that some parents connect to Wi-Fi and it is unlimited and things are there for you. Learn to turn it off. Turn off social media, turn off the TV, turn off the bad news, turn off the rumors from your friends in their WhatsApp groups. You can mute it for a while, maybe for a day or two. Turn off the things that are bothering you and somehow focus on something productive. You can say, I'm turning off everything today, and today I'm going to cook a meal in the kitchen. If you are a boy, today I'm going to listen to music, okay? You have turned off everything else that bothers you, and you are setting your mind to listen to your favorite music. Or I'm going to play a sport, or I'm going to swim, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to take a walk, or I'm going to read, or I'm going to do this. All those help us when we turn it off. A good example of turning it off was during the COVID era, especially the 2020 March, where we all didn't know what was happening, but all we could see is news. And you see in South Africa, 1,000 people died last night. In US, 10,000 people died. And we are looking at the numbers. In Uganda, it has finally come. One person who has it, 20 people have it, now 200, now 1,000. Time reached when we simply had to turn it off. You just had to switch on your TV and don't watch CNN, don't watch numbers, don't listen to numbers. And that helps us to build resilience. And that is why we are here. And that helped us not to be very anxious, not to become mentally unstable, not to become depressed. But if you don't turn it off and you just let everything go on the way it is when it is pressing down on you, then things won't be well. Sometimes you even need to turn off your friends. Some friends are not so good for us. They are not so good for our mental health. So sometimes we need to turn them off. So learn to turn it off. Let us go ahead. Okay, so there is that. I don't know if it will be very clear for you people, but this is just what I've just talked about. Things that are in your control and things that are out of your control, okay? So out of my control, there are certain things, if they are out of my control, I need to learn to accept them. So let me turn around my phone so that I can be able to see. Yeah. So out of control, there are things like actions of others. That is out of your control. How other people behave, you might not be able to decide how other people behave. My post, what you post on your, my past, that is past. My past is out of your control. You did not choose your parents. You cannot change your past, but you can definitely change the way your future will be, because what you do today will depict what comes your way tomorrow. Opinions of others, out of your control. There is nothing much. Thoughts of others about me, you cannot force people to think this way about you. Happenings around me, you know, when pandemics come our way, diseases come our way, the cough and flu and etc., it is out of our control. Let us just accept it and then work on ourselves to be better. My future is somehow out of your control, but you need to know that what you do today will probably depict what you be in future. If you decide to just sit and say, I will, okay, maybe you want to be a lawyer in future, but then now you just sit and you're not reading your literature novels, you're not reading your words, you're not putting in any effort in your academics, my dear, you're not just going to wake up and become a lawyer in future. So somehow your future is out of your control, but you can do something now, because even you might want to be a lawyer and you don't become one. So your future is out of your control. Feelings of others, out of your control. However, there are things that are in your control. For example, your choices, your thoughts. You can control your thoughts, you can make your choices. The first one, I can't read it very well. Your actions. Okay, your responses are in your control. Your actions in your control. Your words in your control. Okay? Your boundaries, your self-care, your media consumption, how much you spend on social media, your use of time, all that is in your control. Your goals are in your control. Your thoughts are in your control. So my dear, it is now up to you to see how can I work with what is in my control so that I change it for the better. Take control of what is in your control. What is outside your control, just put in place the coping mechanisms to help you. Okay, so stop the stigma. People have problems. Students have problems. People have suicidal ideation. People are depressed. Students dealing with anxiety. If you see them going to seek help, do not stigmatize them. If you see girls behaving like boys, boys behaving like girls, without you having proof about their real situations, do not stigmatize them unless if you have proof. Educate yourself about mental health issues. That's what we have just done today. We know the common mental health issues. We know how to deal with them. We know what you can put in place to help us overcome. Be aware of attitudes and behavior about people suffering and also about yourself. You should know how you feel about certain issues. How will you handle? How will you behave if you're stressed? How can you handle? How can you stop you from moving from being well to being unwell mentally? Okay. If somebody tells you that I feel like committing suicide, they rarely say I feel like committing suicide, but they say I feel like life is useless, life is meaningless. I feel like I cannot handle anymore. Be aware of such and do something about it instead of going to spread the rumor. That girl, she's thinking this and that and that. You're stigmatizing and you might as well push the person to that. Support others. Peer-to-peer support is important. Some of you have the influence, you are leaders, you are, class monitors. You can be able to push, you are prefects, you're this. You can be able, you are friends, you can be able to support others. Choose your words carefully. The things that you say to people, that's why we said in your control. Your words are in your control. What you say to people can either make or break them. That person you see who is very down, instead of you lifting, saying something uplifting, and you say something negative about that person, you might as well push that person against the wall. So choose your words carefully. Seek support and encourage others to seek support too. Stop stigmatizing. When there is an issue, encourage others to seek support. Always remember that it can happen to anyone. None of us as human beings is immune. None of us is immune. Mental health issues can happen to anyone. Today you might be well, and then tomorrow, God forbid, you get involved in an accident and things will change. Or you lose a parent, God forbid, things will change because death is a part and parcel of the life that we live. If you're human, you can die. Okay, so always remember that it can happen to anyone. Stop stigmatizing. You now know better. And if you see those people who stigmatize others, say a word or two to change their mind. Okay, some quotes here. Quotes about mental health. Mental health problems don't define who you are. They are something you experience. You walk in the rain and you feel the rain. That doesn't make you rain. You walk in the rain, you feel the rain, but you are not rain. That is mud. So mental health problems do not define who you are, because you can overcome if you put coping mechanisms into place. Remember that your mental health is a priority. Your inner peace is essential, and your self-care is a necessity. Remember that your mental health is a priority. It is a must that you should be well. Otherwise, you can't manage life if you're not well mentally. Your inner peace is very essential. If your mental health is okay, you take care of it, you nourish your soul, you participate in the different tools that we have given you, then you'll be peaceful and you'll be able to manage the academic pressure and all that. But self-care is a necessity. So it is necessary that you take care of yourself. And then mental health is as important as physical health. So we always say, may I stay healthy and all that. The physical health, we pray for that. But we should also remember that our mental health is the most important, because if you're mentally disturbed, you won't think, you won't act well, and you will behave differently. Okay, so next. So we have come to the last bit, the take home. What are we taking home from this session? We should be aware of who we are and what works for you. Be aware of who you are and what works for you. Okay? Amongst all the coping mechanisms we have mentioned, see what works for you and what is relevant in your school setting. Because we might talk about sports, and you are in a school where sports is a dream. Look out for something else. At least walking is not a dream, and walking can help you release some bit of tension. Create a supportive environment around you so as you're not the reason as to why someone else is being bullied or suffering. I've already mentioned that. Take note of the people around you, your friends, your colleagues, your acquaintances, the teachers. Some of you even bully your teachers and matrons and all that. You shouldn't be the reason why somebody else is suffering. And if you're not that reason, then you'll be supported. Even when issues happen to you, people will feel sorry and help out where possible. Mental wellness begins with you. Nobody's going to come and take away your anxiety. It is you who needs to work on yourself first. And if you work on yourself first, you'll be able to deal with other stressors. And then every one of us is prone to a mental health crisis, but how we handle is what makes the difference. Fenna, every one of us, as long as we are human beings, mental health issues can happen to us. We can become anxious, we can become stressed, we can be depressed at one time, we can go through trauma if you lose someone, if you face death and all that. We can face all those things, but how we handle those issues is what makes the difference. Build resilience. I've given you tools of building resilience. Be proactive, think positively, build your social circles, take a break, turn it off when it is too much, etc. Everything begins with you. Okay. So anyone willing to share? I think we had some people sharing. If there are others who might want to share, I would also want to get into some of the questions. There are a few questions here, probably 5 or 6 that I want to answer. And these questions also answer some of the questions that came through the chat and came through the microphone when people spoke. Can I also take one break as I wait for somebody to share? If you have something to share with us as far as mental health is concerned, Divine's hand is up. Divine. Oh. I think I keep on muting and unmuting Divine.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to ask, like, for a piece of advice. You said that participating in sports, like, okay, having time for yourself and all that stuff, doing things that give you peace of mind and stuff like that. So at my school, I'm sort of a leader. I do things in terms of, like, I did some stuff and then I got like ranked higher in somewhere, but then it has a lot of responsibilities, but they are not that hard in terms of giving my time to it. So I would be doing that. Then personally, I would like going for like my sports and stuff. I have a specific sport that has a scheduled time during the day, like every day of the week, and I would do that. So I have leadership, then I have my academics, and I have going for the sports. I have other stuff like, let's say, I'm in a club and then going for this function and stuff like that. So all in all, like when it was time for end of year, I did my end of year. I wasn't so grateful of like what I got, but at least it wasn't as bad. But then I reached home and my parents, mainly my dad, was all like, that's not what you wanted. He said that the sports, the leadership and all they are distracting me, la la la, and I should either drop them or give it less time because being number one does not hurt. So it kind of hurt me because I like doing these other stuff aside from academics. Okay, I have the willingness to pass because I really want to make them proud. I really want to like do things to help my future. No, I have that heart and I have that attention, but I don't want to drop my sports. I don't want to stop being a leader because of that small, like, new curriculum papers and stuff. I had never seen them. I don't want to blame myself, but at the same time, I blame myself. So the question is, should I leave the sports and stuff, or, okay, in this sector, I'm confused.
I'll answer you immediately. I think if you give up the sports, you will be doing yourself a disservice, because sports in school, one, it is a hobby. Let me say that. Two, it helps us to overcome the tension, and there is no way you can go through the academic system without being stressed, without having tension, without being apprehensive. It is part and parcel of the academic pressure. So if you give it up, it means you won't have any room to steam off. You need to steam off, okay? However, you have ways, other ways that you can go through in order to manage your leadership alongside. The good thing is you have said that for you, you felt your performance was not bad, it was good. But your father is looking forward to a better performance. Why? Because he knows that you can do better than that. The good thing also, we are going into a new year, and I want to believe that in most cases, leadership is for 1 year. If you're going to probably senior 4, I don't think you will be a leader in senior 4. In most schools, that's how it is, that leadership runs for 1 year. So maybe if you're still a leader and you're not going to give up leadership, because leadership is also something good for you, it prepares you for future roles as a leader. Now, you can learn to delegate, because in most cases, when we are leaders, we have an assistant. If you are in A-level, there is probably an O-level assistant. If you are the only one, there is probably someone else who can help out within the prefecture, within the school system. So learn to delegate, that certain things I can't do, I can probably ask one of the other prefects to stand in for me for that issue. Or learn to make a timetable. Your leadership roles come at a particular time, and when it is time for your studies, your leadership is put on the side. Or you can juggle both at a go, because life is about juggling. We are, for example, as adults, we are mothers, we are workers, we are, we are counselors, we are students, because some of us go back to study. There are so many things we are juggling. We have older parents who have to take care of. We have siblings, that we have friendships that we have to maintain. There is a lot. Life can never be just like that. So when you learn to juggle your things when you are a teenager, you'll be able to juggle life as an adult. So you need to learn to put things side by side. If in the morning is when I do my prefecture duties, during class time, I'm in class and studying. Then in the afternoon, maybe I'm a house leader. I go and make sure the girls have done this, the boys have done this, they have cleaned, they have done this, etc. So just work hand in hand. And the good thing is, you know that you did not perform so bad. But if the worst comes to the worst, then you need to speak to maybe your class teacher to help you out. How best can you, or the prefect's patron, or the head girl, to help you lower some of those things. But sports, please don't give it up. It is important. You never know that the sport you're doing right now is the sport that is going to get you a scholarship, is the sport that is going to take you out the country. It is the sport that is going to be your source of living. So that is my answer. Ithonora?
Thank you, madam. For me, I would want to ask about, and he said that he talked about counselors in school. Yeah, we also have, but if as kind of person like feeling that have gone through some counseling sessions and they feel like they cannot help them, what can you do for such a person? Like they feel like not even a friend can help them, but seeing that situation.
Okay. Itho, I didn't get your question well, but I think this is what I picked. That yes, you talked about counselors in schools, that yes, I go to a school where we have a counselor, but I feel that some people might go through the counseling and they never become, they are not helped. I think that was your question. Now I'm going to answer it this way. There are certain issues that need beyond counseling. For example, if somebody is going through severe depression, counseling alone cannot help. Sometimes they need medication. And as just a school counselor, I'm not allowed, I'm not a medical doctor, I cannot prescribe medication. So that school counselor is able to notice that this person needs more, and therefore they will contact the parent or they will contact the school admin so that this person is referred to maybe a psychiatrist or a medical doctor who can be able to manage better and probably even bring in medication to help this person. So that could be one way. Then the other thing is counseling is about change of behavior. We talk about behavior therapies. It means we are going to sit and discuss certain ways. If you have been struggling with managing your life, we are going to sit and maybe start with setting goals and writing a timetable. So commitment has to come from your side. Me, I'll do my job as a counselor. But if I give you an assignment to do about maybe writing a timetable or following through and you don't do it, you won't get the help. We shall just be wasting each other's time. So that is how counseling works. We discuss something and we choose what do you think will work better for you given the situation. And therefore, it is now up to you to fulfill what we have discussed. If you do not fulfill, you will not get better. And you will keep on saying the counselor has not helped me, the counselor has not helped me, but you have not come through with what we have discussed. So it's like giving you medication, and you don't take the medication, or today in the morning you take, then you take another one at night when you remember, or you skip the other day because you have forgotten, then you take the other day. That disease will not go away. That is how counseling works. You have to follow through the things that have been discussed. Okay, so Etho, I hope I have answered that question. Then Lizzie.
So my problem is procrastinating, and there comes a time when I'm exhausted in class. I find it so hard to do the work. Like I find myself very lazy and very tired. I feel like every time I have problems with teachers. At times I feel like I don't like this teacher. I have attitude. My biggest problem in life is my attitude is really bad. Even my parents take it so bad that I can at least be quiet when when you're talking to a teenager, and then me, I start being on my phone. Maybe I try to look at someone, and then my parents start complaining that I have a very bad attitude, and everyone is telling me that. But to me, I find that I don't know what they are talking about, but everyone who finds me, they're like, change your attitude, change your attitude. So what do you advise me?
Okay, Lizzie, it is good you seem to know, because you said that sometimes I can be on my phone when somebody is speaking to me, especially the parent. Me as a parent, it can annoy me, and it can annoy many, many parents. It can annoy teachers if I speak to you and you don't come through with what we have discussed. Today, I talk about this kind of behavior and you just don't see it. But like you say, teenagers are hormonal. Sometimes the way they handle the stress is very different from the way we think and the way we handle things. So for me, I think she's behaving badly, and yet for her, she doesn't see the issue. However, people around you have mentioned certain things that you're doing that annoy them. Look at those things. You are on the phone and your parent is talking to you, or your parent is talking to you and you just walk away, or you simply throw your words without care. You have control. Go back to that circle of the brain that we drew. You have control over certain things. You have control over your phone. Your phone cannot control you. If mommy or daddy is speaking to you, put the phone aside and listen. Don't walk away, listen. You can control your anger. Breathe in, stop. Breathe in deeply and exhale. Do that 3 times, the anger will subside. Except if it is beyond that, somebody now needs anger management classes and medication and all that. So look at those little things, Lizzie, that people are mentioning that you're doing. Those could be the things that are making people say that you have attitude. If you start working on those things and you change them little by little, your attitude will change. That is the best I can say. And I wish you good luck. Attitude can change, by the way. It's not a permanent fixture. Then we have Liz.
Liz. Okay, thank you, madam. For me, I would like to say, okay, she's this, and I think she's just shrinking back. So, like, when she has a problem, she has it.
Liz, I'm sorry, you're going to, Liz, I'm sorry, Liz, you're going to write that in the chat because I can't hear you at all. There is a lot of feedback from your phone. I can't hear you. So lastly, Katana, then I'll go to answer those few questions quickly so that we call it a day. Katana? Liz, write the question in the chat. Okay, we have lost Katana. Now let me go to the questions that people wrote. Someone asked, how can you relieve yourself from depression? Now, depression has to be diagnosed. Not every time you feel low and sad means that you are depressed. So for you to say that you're depressed, you must have a diagnosis from a trained counselor, from a medical doctor, from a psychiatrist, etc. So it has to be diagnosed. And when they confirm that indeed you're going through depression, I've talked about the different things, the coping mechanisms that we wrote there. They help seek support, establish a routine, start doing things that you enjoy. You can beat procrastination by having a timetable and a routine. I think somebody talked about procrastination. The biggest medicine for procrastination is to having a timetable that you can commit to stick to. If you commit to stick to the to-do list, the timetable, the etc., the procrastination will go away. And sometimes we are overwhelmed because we procrastinate a lot. You have work to do on Monday, you push it to Tuesday, and yet Tuesday's work is also there. Therefore, you push it to Wednesday, and then Friday will come. They need all that work. You have a lot of work that you have pushed for the whole week. Learn to have a timetable, and if you have a timetable and you commit to that timetable and the goals that you want to achieve, procrastination will go away slowly by slowly. So the one who talked about depression, please, not everyone is depressed and not everything we feel is depression, but you need a medical diagnosis to confirm that there is depression. And if they confirm, they will also help you to secure counseling. Most of the counseling is free in schools and some communities. And then sometimes you have to pay for it. Most of the time, actually, you have to pay for it, and it is quite expensive. Counseling is quite expensive. That is why you should take advantage of the free counseling within the school premises. And then how do I get at least 95% of school work done? And how can I improve my academics? To improve your academics, one, start by creating a schedule, a timetable that you can stick to. Be organized in your work, knowing which assignment is due, which one is pending, which one do I have to do, which book of literature am I supposed to read? Don't wait for things to pile up. Organize yourself. Be active in your class. If you are in the new curriculum, don't be the person who sits back to relax. It is a participatory curriculum. You need to be very active in the curriculum. So participate, even if it is little by little, start from there. You will get there. Write your notes. You are required to write notes. If you don't write notes, what are you going to read if you don't write notes? Revise, find time to revisit and revise your notes. You will be able to achieve your 95% schoolwork if you do all this. Do self-assessment. Self-assessment in those books that you use, they are usually questions that allow you to, even if the teacher has not given you a question, for you after doing a topic, you can use your very book or you have a notebook on the side. Do a question, assess yourself. I think if you do that question and you give it to a teacher to mark or another teacher to mark it for you, you will see where you stand. You'll be able to improve academically. This question is also answering the person who asked, how can we handle academic pressure? These are some of the things. Seek extra help from your teachers and your peers. Some of our peers know things, they come easily to them. So make use of those peers. Some can be selfish, okay? But I know that in that very class, you can't fail to find somebody who can fail to help. Be part of discussion groups. They are important in most of the subjects. You are in senior 4, you know who you can work with. And the discussion group should be a small one, between 3 to 5 people, not beyond. If it becomes many, it will be just a wastage. So seek extra help from teachers and peers, be part of discussion groups. Manage your stress. I have given you coping mechanisms for managing stress and fatigue. Set achievable goals. Don't set goals that are going to put you on pressure, well knowing you can't manage that goal. Moving all the way from 20% to 100% within one term. No, it is not achievable, but you can achieve it within a certain period of time. If you are at home and you have access to technology, if you are in school and there is computers or something, use the technology or the phones, etc., to access academic stuff. At least create some time that I'll spend 2 hours on my phone looking at academic stuff every day. Then I can use the other time to look at other things. You can unmute your messages and etc. And then pay attention to your academics. There are things like Khan Academy, YouTube videos that are educational, Pinterest. It's not all about dressing and etc. Pinterest also has academic side. And others that Mr. Kaziba can share with you. And never, ever give up. Keep trying. Never give up. Keep trying. You keep trying, things will get better. Then there was a question about advise me on how one who works against their parents' will. Okay, this person seems to be at loggerheads with a parent. The parent wants this, the person wants this. First of all, what is causing the friction between you and the parent? Is it the academics? Are you failing to work better? Are you failing to achieve the grades that she or he wants you? So it is not a clear question, but if there is friction between you and the parent, you need to find out the reason as to why there is friction. And in most cases, it begins with us, the student. It begins with us to change the way things are. For example, the person who talked about the attitude the parents complain about. The parent is not going to change your attitude for you. You are the one who can change the attitude for yourself. So we know that sometimes teens can be rebellious because they think differently and the parents struggle to relate. And for us parents, we look at that as rebel behavior. You're being rebellious. Yet in actual sense, you might have your own issues that you want to put across. Like your parent might be forcing you to do sciences, yet you know you're very good at arts. Or your parent might be, you know, saying, I want you to be this, yet you know you cannot manage that. And so many other things that might come in. Now, how can you handle such a thing? Sometimes you will fail to speak to your parent to understand. That is why you have friction. Bring in a trusted person, maybe an auntie that they can listen to, a class teacher when it is school related, a class teacher, an adult, a church person that you, sometimes people relate so much with their church people, the pastor, the reverend, the imam, the etc. All those people, you can speak to them about your challenges and they can be able to put the two of you together to understand the dose, the subject teacher and all that, the auntie at home, the uncle, the bigger brother, all those people can find a way of intervening to probably help you and the parent to be on the same page. As long as you're not being rebellious because you are a teenager and you think, I can do what I want. And then as a student, you should realize that there are usually consequences to the choices that we make. So your parent might be showing you that this is the best option. And maybe deep down, you also know this is the best option. But for you, you're being rebellious because you feel taina changamba. The way teenagers usually say taina changamba, that kind of thing. So always know that there are consequences to the choices that you make. So make responsible choices. Another question, if you have heavy responsibility as a prefect without enough support from teachers and also maybe from parents, I think this question relates to what somebody asked. Now, one, be grateful that leadership comes from God. There are so many who wanted to be leaders, but they are unable. So begin by being grateful that leadership comes from God and be grateful for the skills that you're gaining from being a leader. Be grateful for those skills. However, I want to believe that there is usually a patron for prefects. There is maybe a head girl who leads the prefecture or a head boy or whatever, or there is a deputy in charge of the prefect's body and all that. So if you find that leadership is becoming too much for you, you need to speak to these people to help you. Now, you said that if you're not getting enough support from teachers, I know that every week there is usually a teacher on duty. Can you work with a teacher on duty, okay, to see how best you can handle your leadership roles for that particular week? Slowly by slowly, you'll be able to work it out. But if you sit back and you expect the teachers to come, some will think, oh, she can handle, he can handle, okay? Some think that, but if you bring it to the attention of the teacher on duty or the patron or prefects, etc., they'll realize that you need help. The senior lady, the senior woman, senior man, all those people can come in and help. And then also you yourself, you can draw a timetable, I've already mentioned it, that can help you to do your leadership roles side by side with your studies. And then somebody asked, will this information be shared with the parents? I hope this doesn't involve our parents. Those were two questions. Will this information be shared with parents? And I hope this doesn't involve our parents. Now, we have discussed this. We don't know who the people on board are. Some might be parents listening in, which is a good thing because they also learn somewhere. Like, for example, some students who have complained about parents. Some parents might not know, and they are just exercising their role, their duty. But the fact that this information is out there and people can join in wherever they want, as long as they have data and they have the link, they can join in. So I can't be sure that there are no parents on board. I myself am a parent, by the way. So be rest assured that this information is there and the parents are listening. Some are listening in, but even if they are not online, I think some of the issues that have been raised can only be sorted if the parents come on board. That is why we have sessions for parents, but this session was mainly for students. And then confidentiality also has some limits. If there is, I'm supposed to be confidential as a counselor, but if somebody comes to me and they tell me they are on the verge of committing suicide, the law requires me to let the parent of that person or the guardian know, or to let my immediate supervisor know, so that as I'm helping this person, they are aware that their children or their child is going through something like this. So confidentiality in counseling also has limits. Then I would like to change, but in most cases, we keep things between the counselor and the client. That is what is required. And then I would like to change in the way I express myself in public. Okay, what I see as self-esteem issues. Remember, we said you have control over your words, you have control over what you want to happen to you, etc. So you can build your self-esteem. That is another entire session of self-esteem. So I cannot go deeply into that. You need to build your confidence. Start small by participating in school activities, like participating in class, being a presenter in your lessons, taking up leadership in school or leadership in your class. You can be a subject monitress, you can be that. So participate in school activities, the drama shows, the debates. The new curriculum has debates. Don't sit back, participate in the debates. That will be something very useful for you. It will help you to learn how to express yourself. Then learn how to read. Read be out of your subjects where you're going to do exams. Read books, novels, self-help. They'll help to build your vocabulary. They'll help to build your confidence. They'll give you words to use, okay? Always prepare and prepare for whatever you're going to present. For example, if I was supposed to present to you this afternoon, and I just came and sat here and started talking, I wouldn't last this long. But because I was able to prepare, that is why I'm still here 2 hours and a half later. We are almost going into 3 hours and I'm still talking because I prepared, okay? And then start small. Start by being part of your class, part of your group, and present from there, and then you'll be able to manage. And then somebody said, I need a counselor. So Mr. Kaziba will share my number. If you need a counselor, we can see how we can help. And then what are the results of depression? I think we talked about that. And then how do I choose my career? That is career guidance. In most cases, it starts with your abilities and your interests, okay? And also at schools, most schools have career guidance masters. Please talk to them. Don't just know this is the career guidance master and you're not getting to that person. Speak to them. They'll be able to help. But start with your interests and your abilities. Then how can I control my mind and my sexual desires? I found this a very important question because as teenagers, our sexual desires are growing. Our hormones are growing. Now, as teenagers, it is very normal to have those sexual desires. It's very normal to have those hormonal issues, okay? It is part and parcel of adolescence. It is part and parcel of growing up. But how you handle those desires is what matters. 1, begin by educating yourself about the consequences of sexual relationships at this age. For every action we choose, there is a consequence. If you choose to be involved in sexual relationships at this age, just know that there are consequences. There might be pregnancies, There might be diseases, there might be emotional upheavals, and so many other things. Can you handle at this age? Is this what you want to do? How we handle is what matters. So please educate yourself about the consequences. And in my opinion, we are simply too young to be in that kind of relationship. Time will come. Everything has its own time. Define your boundaries well between your friendships and hold off sexual activity for now. You are struggling with your senior 4, and then you bring in sexual activity. How are you going to handle, to juggle that too? Because sexual activity and sexual relationships also come with a lot of baggage. And you're bringing that baggage and putting it onto your academic baggage. Engage in hobbies, sports, and other activities that direct focus or redirect focus and present positive outlets. And if your mind is thinking about sexual activity, if you decide to be active in your sports, you will play your sports and you will forget. You will forget, you won't remember. So redirect your mind to positive outlets like hobbies, sports, other activities that are positive instead of thinking about sexual activity. At this time, I'll also warn you about pornography because you have phones there. You think you can do what you want. Please, you don't know the road you're walking. What are your goals for now? You who want to control your sexual desires, it is a very good question. What are your goals for now? Is it academics? Or is it something else? Relationships at the moment. Can you juggle that too? My answer is definitely no, I don't think so. You're too young to handle those two at the moment. So please, your goals, put them in perspective and you know what you want. Limit your exposure to sexual content. People share so much sexual content. You are in this group and people are always sharing sexual content. Limit your exposure to that because if you're ever looking at that sexual content, it can influence your thoughts and your desires. It will influence your thoughts and your desires, and at all the time you won't be able to control your mind. You're always thinking about sexual activity. You are in class, the teacher is teaching, you're thinking about the videos that you watched and etc. Limit or do not expose yourself. Or if, because sometimes we can't control what comes down our WhatsApp, whatever content and all that, but try to limit it. And then beef up your emotional intelligence because you need to realize that your desires are natural. They are part of growing up. They are part of humanity. But does it mean that just because they are natural, they are going to push you into sexual activity? Remember our round circle, the brain, it told us there are things that we can control. And this is one of them. Our actions can be controlled in this case. Our thoughts can be controlled instead of being, you know, all the time thinking about sexual activity, etc. You can decide to channel it through other activities outside. Cooking, hobbies, reading, music, etc. It will help. So much as it is natural, much as it's part of growing up, you need to learn to handle. And okay, lastly, someone thanked us for this session. Thank you. You're welcome. Somebody said she feels sleepy all the time. Now, if you feel sleepy all the time, you need to check on your sleep and wake behavior. What time do you go to bed? Can you control that time? Or you are the person after prep time, maybe 10, you spend like another 2 hours and you go to bed at midday and be at midnight. You're losing out on 2 hours. So you need to maximize the time of sleeping so that the following day is very good for you. It moves on well. So if you feel sleepy all the time, if it is not a medical issue, because some people might be feeling sleepy all the time because they have a medical issue. There are some people who lack iron. They are low on iron and they are sleeping all the time. So if you have a medical checkup and they find you are okay, then you need to work on the time you sleep. Yeah. And then I cannot remember well what I read or the content. I don't remember. I think this goes back to knowing that you're reading to understand, not to cram. If you cram, it will be difficult for you. If you forget, you have forgotten. But if you read to understand, using simple methods of reading to understand, you will be able, like for example, Pinterest gives you pins, little pins that can help you understand some issues. You break down the topic and you understand it. So read to understand, not to cram. Use technology to help you read to understand. I've already mentioned that. Do active reading, as you read, set a question for yourself or look at that question in the book and answer that question. If you just read as if you're reading a novel, you're reading academic work as if you're reading a novel, you will forget it immediately. But learn to read, you set a question and answer that question, you will remember. Some people visualize. I've heard of softwares that help people to understand biology through visuals, geography through visuals. So if you can access such softwares, well and good. If you can't, look at the diagrams that you're supposed to look at, visualize. For example, I can visualize a literature novel. If I read a novel, I can know the plot. This one does this and does this, and I put it in pictorial form in my mind. You can visualize those issues in your mind, and therefore they will stick there. You won't forget them. And then break things into smaller bites that you can chew. There is no way you're going to read your history that you're doing tomorrow and you read the entire history tonight. My dear, even those things that enter by the time you sit on the paper, in the paper, you would have forgotten. So you need to break into smaller, start preparing early and break them into smaller bites that you can chew. And always try to go back. Don't say, I have read that topic, Njimaze, I won't do it again. Always revisit that topic and you can revisit through questions to do some answers. And then also you can teach someone else. If you have understood something very well or you have read it and you think you have understood, teach it to someone else. Be part of a discussion group and teach it to someone else. You'll be able to remember. And I know in English language we have these acronyms. For example, if you're looking for the sequence of maybe adjectives in a sentence, then you cram that it should be what? I've spent 2 years without teaching English, so I'm forgetting. Anyway, those things, like, you know, the way you know the acronym of the colors of the rainbow, RGB, that kind of thing. You know that red is R is red, O is orange, yellow, Y is yellow. So you can create acronyms. I think they are called mnemonics. You can teach yourself mnemonics, create acronyms that help you remember. Some people do it in rhymes. For example, if you want to remember, I know there are some of us who might not know that February has 28 days. January has 31 days. But there are rhymes like 30 days of September, April, June, and November. All the rest are 31, except February alone. That kind of thing. So some people create rhymes to help them remember. And then, yeah, sleep, eat, play, rest, reboot. All those things help you to remember. Sleep, eat, play, rest, reboot. They help you to remember. And the very last question is about social anxiety. That is a very big topic. It is a topic on itself, but social anxiety is when people fear to relate with others. They can't stand in a society. They cannot manage. I think the answers there could be what you can do. Take part in small roles in your class. Start by relating with your neighbor. Say a good morning, a good afternoon to somebody who you're bypassing. All those things, you start small and you'll be able to overcome. Have positive self-talk. Tell yourself, I can manage, I can handle, I can overcome all those things. And then join clubs that will bring you in the midst of people. If you have social anxiety and you decide to stay alone, you keep to yourself, you're not part of the group, you're not part of the club, you are in trouble. Join clubs, they will help you. Be kind to yourself, okay? Start by being kind. I've already talked about that. I also said learn to breathe, to stop, breathe, and think. When you have social anxiety, it is very possible that you can get a panic attack when you find yourself in a crowd of people. But if you stop and you breathe in deeply and then think the next action, somehow, somewhere, if it is not too much, which I think is not too much because you're able to be in school, then you can overcome. Otherwise, people who have extreme social anxiety cannot even come out in public. Then somebody asked feelings of unacceptance. If I have feelings of unacceptance, people who do not accept me, what do I do? Love yourself. That is the beginning. Nobody is going to love you before you love yourself. Nobody is going to love you on your behalf. Love yourself first. Look at your strengths. Look at your weaknesses. Work on them. If possible, express your feelings to those people that you feel are fueling unacceptance. They could be your classmates or your housemates or etc. And they are always saying this and that and that. You can get someone to help you express, or you can express your feelings towards them. The house mistress, the class teacher, the etc. Any other older person can help you to navigate that issue. Then consider improving yourself by working with a counselor. A counselor can help you to make yourself better, can take you through self-development. Like, for example, whoever has attended this session is going to be different from today, because now you have gotten information that you didn't have before. You are going to improve on yourself. So work with a counselor, work with an older person to help you improve yourself. Discover your talents. Don't be so much on people who are not accepting you. Discover your talents and pour your pain in your talents. Probably people will notice, oh, she's really good at this. Okay? So discover your talents, embrace and develop your talents. Don't be the kind of person who goes through secondary school. Now you have no talent at all. You are young people. There is something you can do out there. Don't lose the chance of developing that talent when you are still a teenager. Avoid those who make you feel less. Keep company with those who appreciate you. Build your confidence. Mr. Kaziba, I think that's it. I'm sure there are no more questions because we have handled all the questions, the hands that were up.
Surely you have really unpacked everything.
3 hours.
I think it's this is one of the longest sessions we have heard.
Very long.
Blessings had a burning question and she's still on. Blessing.
Okay.
If you can unmute, I saw your hand was up for quite a long period. Blessing? Oh, okay. I think I'm failing to get her, but so I saw in the chat some people are trying to ask, but I'm really happy because I've really enjoyed. Then maybe, I don't know that Tumwesj is still on. Let me just, okay, Tumwesj is still on. Yeah, he had a concern that I have a tendency of smiling uncontrollably. Some teachers complained and say it is a way of mocking them, especially when they are giving me advice in case I do something wrong. Honestly, it is annoying. They don't understand me, something like that.
Okay.
How does he need to?
Oh, okay. I don't think that is a disease. I don't think it is a cause for concern, except if you have been told by a medical person that this is wrong. If it is not a disease, that is your nature. That is your nature. So that is why we also had a session for teachers to let them know that there are certain things that these students cannot help. Now, people will start slowly to understand that that is who he is. If, as they advise you, later they notice that there is a change. Otherwise, if you uncontrollably keep on smiling and there is no change in the things that you have talked about, then they'll start thinking that you're not paying attention, that you're just doing your own thing. You don't want to be better, you don't want to change. But they will notice if you really take up what they are saying and you change. Because sometimes there are certain things that are beyond our control. If you cannot control the smiling, because now you can't wake up and just say, now, today I'm going to be tough. As the teacher speaks to me, I'm going to be tough. It might be your nature and you cannot help it. So just work on what the teacher is telling you to change, and I think all will be well. So somebody was asking for my number. I have just put it in the chat. It is a WhatsApp number. I'll put it in the chat. And I had also promised that I'll share certain people who can help. Now, what I'm going to share is Watoto Church. They usually employ qualified counselors. Forget about the counselors of church or somebody being an elder and therefore they can counsel. No. Watoto employs qualified counselors. And some other, I think Watoto mainly, and their services are free. Others that I was going to talk about, their services are for paying for and they are expensive. But Watoto employs free services, gives free services. Any branch of Watoto you go to, you can just request you want to speak to a counselor. And when we talk about Watoto, they are not exactly going to talk about prayer things, as in Christian counseling and etc. No, they are going to look at issues from a psychological point of view because they are qualified in the psychological field. Okay, so Watoto is maybe your first go-to. And then there are also helplines. There are helplines. You can Google some of these helplines. I think there is Mental Health Uganda. You Google, you see their helplines. So those ones also have like call-ins that can help with depression. So Mental Health Uganda has helplines. And then the other one is, I didn't write it down, I've forgotten. But anyway, you start from those, they can help. And then also my number is there. You can reach me via WhatsApp. Okay. I think that's it.
I think that is it because
I don't see any more hands. I think we have exhausted it.
Let me just check whether okay, Eccentric had a question, but I feel you have tapped on it where I was saying I'm a talented footballer. However, my parents very much hate football because they think I'll leave studies. I'm now in senior 4. I am stuck. I do love football, but I'm good in academics too. But my parents want me to completely leave out football. Now, instead, I'm thinking of leaving academics.
Now, that is where a trusted elder comes in. Maybe a trusted auntie, maybe a church person, maybe at school, it could be the DOS, it could be your class teacher. This is where they come into intermediate between you and your parents, because these are the people, especially those at school, they are the people who are going to talk to your parents to see that this person can juggle that too. They are the people who can do that for you because you have spoken to your parents, they are not seeing it, and truth be told, you're not going to change their minds. It will be very difficult. But people at school, the DOS, the class teacher, etc., they are the people who are going to help you convince the parents to know that this person is doing well academically, and this person is able to juggle football with academics. And this person will not be allowed to engage in football when there are academic issues pending. Those are the only people who can help you. So now, go to your school, speak to somebody that does, the class teacher, the subject teacher, anyone at school of repute who can speak to your parents. That's the only advice I can give you. Otherwise, you keep on pulling the rope to the end, and you will not benefit from it. Okay.
Lastly, Liz. Liz? Mwebaze Liz.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Juliet, for the session because I've really learned a lot. And I'm hoping next time maybe the Zoom will be there. I will have a testimony to give or changes. But I was also suggesting if it will be good for you to like walk into schools like secondary school and try to give us some of the advices. It will really be nice because some of us have really learned a lot.
We are planning to do that, and I've actually been doing it. Although sometimes you request and the school is unable to provide the time, but we've been doing it and we shall continue doing it. Yes, Lizzie, we shall do that. And thank you for appreciating the session.
Okay. Teacher Juliet, allow me to thank you so much for the great session, for the great insights, for the sharing. Indeed, we have learned a lot. And I know because looking at the chat, students are really very happy and really are appreciating the work. I think students, we can use the chat first, appreciate Teacher Juliet for this wonderful session she has been able to deliver. We are really very grateful and thank you so much. May the good Lord bless you abundantly. I want also to thank all the teachers that have been on this call. Teacher Mildred, I've seen there is my friend here, Mr. Ngat John. Thank you so much. I've been singing for all the sessions we have been having. Thank you so much, and thank you always for joining in. I want to thank all the teachers and all the different school administrators that have been able to join this call. Thank you so much. But I also want to thank all the students that have made it up to this time. Thank you so much, and let me pray that you have learned a lot and that you put into practice everything that Teacher Juliet has been able to share through this session. We are going to reach far. We are going to reach far. We shall reach out to as many schools as we can, but we want you to be our ambassadors in the schools where you are going to be, or where the schools that you go through. Share with your friends. Be that person that your friends can lean on to share their challenges and to be the person to offer the hope. Where the teachers are not, be that person to give a good landing for your fellow students. For the parents, we are next weekend, this coming Saturday, we shall talk to your parents again. Kindly invite them and remind them to attend that session. We shall share a lot of parenting tips mainly for this century, such that they can learn, because many of you have mentioned some statements that really these parents need to know and be cautious about before they mention, like what Liz mentioned. It was really very bad statement. So, but some of these things parents may not know. So kindly tell them that we shall use the same room, the same meeting ID on Saturday at 10 a.m. We shall have them also. We shall share a lot about the different things. We shall still continue to communicate on the WhatsApp group and also give more tips. But when you have a challenge, kindly reach out to teacher Juliet. She has given us the number. I'm going to post the number on the WhatsApp group. Reach her for any help that you may need. She'll be able to help. And for cases that are beyond her, she'll be able to refer you to someone who can really help. But we want to thank you so much. And maybe Teacher Juliet, you can have something before we get someone to lead us in a closing prayer.
Yeah, dear students, thank you so much. Some of you have been resilient enough to go for the entire 3 hours. But I know even those who went early, they picked a lot because they really people have been on call. So thank you for being part of this session. We pray that whatever is bothering you in this new year, whatever is going to hustle, to, give you the hustle, whatever is, you're going through, you have picked coping skills that you can put in place. You can tailor make them to help you according to your needs. But above all, don't give up sports. Sports is the #1 thing that helps us to vent, to help to release the steam. And when I talk about sports, I'm not saying football, etc, only that. No, even a mere walking from one point to the other. Taking a deliberate walk that you're just walking around the school premises is also something else that can help you to clear your mind. Sitting in the green area within the school premises and you just sit and think and be quiet, also that can help. So thank you, students, for being part of us. Thank you for braving the 3 hours. I pray that everything goes well in your new classes and your new roles in this new year. Happy New Year. Be well.
Thank you. Who's leading us in a word of prayer? Martha? Martha? Oh, okay. If Martha is not coming on, we shall have Patricia again.
Let us amass our prayer. So can you get me?
Yes, you are clear.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Mighty Father, King of Glory, one, thank you for this day. One, thank you for this moment, Father, Lord. One, thank you for this session we have had, Father. Thank you because you have brought this messenger in our lives. We believe that whatever we have had today, Father, we shall practice it in our daily lives, and whatever's been going wrong, Father, it shall go right. Because you have sent this person in our lives, Father. Father, we pray that whatever we have learned shall manifest in our lives. Father, shall lead us even when we go back to school. We shall not come back with complaints, Father, Lord. We pray that you guide her wherever she goes, Father. Let all her clients be successful, Father. Bless her in whatever she does. And even our parents out there, as they're looking for school fees, mighty Father, enable them so that they get the school fees, so that we go back to school and we be successful students. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, I pray.
Amen. Amen. Thank you and bye-bye. Stay well.
Thank you, madam.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, madam. Bye-bye.
So let's meet. Okay, let's meet tomorrow.
The baking lesson.
Tomorrow, shall we come back on this link or the other class?
The same link. the same link. We are coming back here for the baking lesson, and we shall use the same link. Okay.
Baking.
Yeah,
Okay.
tomorrow. Okay. Okay, bye.